guys, this is Hayden Hurst, NFL tight end. I'm partnering today with Red Recover. We're going to run you guys through some drills. I started using Red Recover last year, my 4th year in the NFL. It just helps me on Mondays after games, get my recovery process started, get back into the fold of the week, and get ready for the following Sunday. If you want to recover like me, use Red Recover.
Oh, great. You got a doorbell camera. Now you got a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
No.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Get out of my house!
Ooh, Mom's jewelry. There goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Slogans, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, a free doorbell camera.
Free?
One that'll actually work for you. It's not total security unless it's the Sloman Shield. Call 1-800-ALARM-NATE.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
The Sports Talk 305 network is back. It's time to talk Miami Dolphins football with the greatest fan base in the world. EJDconstruction.com is fully insured, liability and workers' comp. Call Eric if you need a custom home builder or general contractor. 305-433-4843. This is the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins postgame show on the Sports Talk 305 network. The show is mastered by Sean Stanley and Chad Shobe. Here's your host, the Big O.
All right, welcome aboard on a beautiful win. No? Wasn't a beautiful win? Listen, any win is a good win. Your boys are 8-3. That's all that matters, ladies and gentlemen, okay? They're 8-3, baby. And I know it wasn't ugly, and I know what the theme of the whole thing is going to be, the offensive tackles, and, you know, obviously. And let me tell you something, because some guy was complaining to me on Twitter. They pulled Tua too early, and it's like, I wouldn't have minded if they pulled Tua just a little bit before when they pulled him. I thought maybe they waited a little too long when they pulled him, actually. And look, the offense did their job, the first team offense. They gave you 30 points. The defense has to finish off the job. And they finally did there, and they finally made the stops that they had to make. The same stuff that they always do, right? They do a little bending, but then they don't break in the end. You know, that kind of stuff. They just seem to do this all the damn time. And I think there was a little bit of let up in that third quarter, too, after having such an easy first half. It's funny that the layoff of the bye week, they didn't lose their edge. They lost their edge after they literally kicked their ass in a half and said, yeah, these guys are no match for us. And they kind of lost their luster a little bit. And then came all the injuries. And so now what we have to find out what's going on with Teron Armstead. I saw Barry Jackson make a post that, you know, when Teron Armstead had one in 2018, he missed 5 games because he said that, you know, it affected what he would do, his job, obviously, which, of course, a pectoral injury will do it. But we have no idea. We don't know how serious it is. So I'm not going to overreact and say that, oh my God, it's over. They are a very precautionary team. Remember that. I want to remind you of that. So if they have an injury, you're already kicking their ass. There was no reason to hurry Armstead back. So they figure they can get by without him. Just like when they benched Tua and said, okay, Skyler, get in there. This guy's taking too many hits. We don't need that. And all of a sudden, you got all of that going on. So that's cool. I get it. I totally understand. So let's not get crazy about the injury yet until we know. Okay. And sadly, this is the one thing that, Teron Armstead is a fantastic player, but he's also unreliable because he is so injury prone. And he's already had injuries this year. And here's another one where he can't. Luckily, the game was already in hand by the time he left. So they were all right. But then Austin Jackson re-injures himself. And dude, now you've got Brandon Shell on one side and you've got Greg Little on the other. I got to tell you something. If you're telling me that's the case, then I don't want to start Tua next week. If those are going to be your bookend tackles against Bose and the boys, yeah, you know what? Let's just put Teddy and Skyler in there next week and serve them up. You know what I'm saying? I'm joking. I'm having some fun with this, okay? Now, listen, Austin Jackson, I think what you got to do now is go back to Brandon Shaw at right tackle, okay? If you get, what's it called, Teron Armstead back. Again, I don't know. And I think we've got to kind of take a step back before panic is setting in and all that kind of stuff. Relax. I know it would suck, okay? And they're not going to go far with Shell and Little as tackles. I understand all of that. And Austin Jackson, I don't know if he re-injured that ankle again, but, he's pretty much done too. So, it's just one of those things where it is what it is, man. Unfortunately, it's a tough situation. It's football. Shit happens. So what are you going to do? Kevin Beal, thank you for the love on the super chat. He says a win is a win. We're 8-3 Dolphin fans, but let me tell you, if Greg Little is starting next week against the Niners D-line, I will be disturbed. Yes, we will all be. And he says, I love Tua. We all do. And by the way, remember, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. You can also make a Bitcoin donation on Cash App, which is always my favorite there. Let me see. What else do we have here? Super V says McDaniel and his staff have a lot to learn. The second half was inexcusable because when they were up by 30, McDaniel continued to call passing plays and not try to run the ball with two or more. They lost their linemen, dude. They weren't really able to run that well. So, it's just one of those things that and you're trying to develop a quarterback too. Look, bro, they're 8-3. Okay. They've only lost games when Tua doesn't play. So I don't know what Super V. Okay. So McDaniels and his staff have a lot to learn. They're 8-3. The second half was inexcusable because they were up 30-0. They won 30-15. Who gives a shit? They won the game. Brother, I'm watching Tampa Bay and the Browns in overtime. They did what they were supposed to do 2 out of the last 3 weeks. They kicked the Browns' ass, they took a week off, and they kicked the Texans' ass. Big deal, man. I get it. The second half did not go well. But it didn't go well because Tua didn't play most of it. Your left tackle got injured. Wilson got injured for a time. Also, your starting running back got injured and banged up. I mean, things happened in this game that kind of changed the complexion of the game. And look, let me explain something. When Teron, because a lot of you were asking me this on Twitter, when Teron Armstead goes out and it became this domino effect, I want you to think about this, okay? Because a lot of people don't think about this kind of stuff. You are on one side of the football, right or left. You are habitually doing everything one way. your steps, the way you approach everything. If you're on the right side, everything is different with your footwork on the right side than it is on the left side. Poor Brandon Shell. This guy came off the street, had to get a couple weeks into getting conditioned, then fought his ass to win that right tackle job. And he's there, right tackle, right tackle, right tackle. And all of a sudden, now you've got to go play left tackle. And usually you're facing the better athletes on that side because that's usually where the right defensive end lines up, which is usually your better pass rusher. And so all of a sudden you're now on the left side where you're habitually doing everything right-handed. Now you've got to do everything left-handed. That was one hell of an adjustment for Brandon Shell. And then that becomes an adjustment for Robert Jones, who then has to worry about Brandon Shell and what he has to do. And he's got to do his job and worry about him just in case if something isn't picked up, some kind of a stunt. And then all of a sudden now you get Greg Little in the game. And then this changes the entire complexion of everything. Because now all of a sudden you've really gone 2 steps down to Greg Little. Because if it's something we've learned, Greg Little is not very good. He's bad. I don't even know how he holds on to a roster spot. But it shows you also left tackles don't grow on trees. They're hard to find. They're hard to find like franchise quarterbacks. And this is why when we say the 5 most important positions in football, quarterback, left tackle, pass rusher, number 1 wide receiver, and shutdown corner. Those are the ones that are so hard to find. And when you have them, you've got to embrace them. And this is where they went in the Toronto Armstead direction. And these are the gambles that you've got to take, unfortunately. So, but they are 8-3. McDaniel has pushed all the right buttons overall. If you're not, here's the other thing. Some guy sends me a text. Well, Josh Boyer, and he starts to, rip into Josh Boyer. Josh Boyer doesn't have the secondary that he would like in order to rush the passer like he would like. And his defense is completely different right now. And he's had to adjust. And he doesn't really have the players in a way in the secondary to be completely zone all the time. So he's switching up between zone and man. But he's got a lot of young guys in there and guys that are learning. It's sometimes it gets to a point where it's unrealistic by some fans. And you think he can do the same things that he was doing before when Byron Jones is healthy and playing and X is 100% healthy. I don't know where X is. That was a nice interception through his legs. It wasn't an interception, but he caught the ball in the back end of the end zone. Did you notice how he caught it and brought it through his legs? That was actually a really cool little basketball move that he made. So I don't know if he's getting healthier. But and remember he had the 2 weeks off, so maybe that helps him out a little bit. But I just think there's a domino effect to a lot of the things that happened, and it was kind of survival mode in the second half. And they've just got to adjust to all of this. And it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? So my throat is on fire. You all have no idea. Okay? Throat is on fire, but we continue and we try to get through. From here on out, we'll have a day off now that we'll have Saturdays off. But man, I'm telling you, it's crazy. Gilbert Martinez, thank you, sir, for the love on the super chat. Very nice of you. Appreciate you. Man of 1,005 holds. Good win, but injury bug won't leave. I know, man. That's the thing about this team. They're 8-3, and they have not been given any breaks whatsoever with the injuries. This is why I'm telling you. And by the way, Jason Sanders, nice day today. He did his job. We've got to give him love, okay? Let's give him love when he does his job. But this is why to pick on Sanders, to pick on Mike McDaniel at any point here, or Josh Boyer, or any of these guys that they're dealing with so many injuries, and yet they're one of the best teams in the NFL. I'm not doing that, man. I'm not doing that. I'm really impressed with the Dolphins overall. Leon Fresco says, big win. We can have nice things, Big O. I know. That's the feeling that I like. I don't mind that one. That we're all pissed that the injury seems to keep happening to the Miami Dolphins. That part I agree with you. I'm pissed about that. I'm frustrated about that. But I'm really proud of this team, the way that they're overcoming. But you got to remember that as you go for the next guy and the next guy and the next guy with injuries, there's a drop-off that continues to happen. And you just cannot continue to expect the same level of play at a high level when you don't have those kind of players in place. Did you watch a Landon Roberts in coverage or Melvin Ingram? You know, those are situations you don't want to be in. We love those guys up in the box, rushing the passer, helping you against the run. You don't want them in pass protect, in pass play. That's pass coverage is kind of tough for them. Sean Murray, thank you for the love on the super chat, sir. A win is a win, and I'll take it. I do like that Jason Sanders seems more confident. He hit everything. By the way, it's 420, folks. So wherever you're at, enjoy one. What else do we have here? Let me see. On the Venmo side, remember Cash Big O Show. It's Cash Big O Show on Venmo. Peter German says, Tua looked like a surgeon carving up Texans D. Austin Jackson did not leave you feeling confident overall. And then I think you put great win. Yeah, I'm with you, Peter. No doubt. It was an awesome win overall because any win in the NFL is a great win. They're 8-3. We have not seen a team in Dolphin Nation be 8-3 in a long, long time. So I'm not going to sit here and act like, I've been here and done it for years like this. No, I'm going to appreciate this. After going through what we've gone through for 20 years, I am just so impressed. By the way, there's 3 minutes and 42 seconds left in overtime, and the Buccaneers and the Browns are knotted up at 17. Okay. 17 for the Bucs, right? And the Dolphins went and kicked the Browns' ass. Just want to remind you of that. You know what I mean? Because you want to pick on coaches and you want to pick on this and that. And they went and took care of business against the Browns, and they took care of business against the Houston Texans. I get it that the second half was more about bad luck more than anything else. That's kind of the way I look at it. Bad luck and nothing more, nothing less. If those guys are healthy, they're kicking their ass, overall. I think a healthy Teron Armstead will be the most wished for thing this holiday season for the Phin fan after world peace. I would probably go with that. Yes, world peace would be nice. Can we eliminate diseases? That would be ultimate. God, that would be so good. True Phin fan says, how you feeling, big guy? 8-3, first place, number 2 seed in the conference, 11 games in. I'm not thinking of next week. I'm enjoying today. Exactly. Because why are you going to beat yourself up about Tehran when maybe it's just a sprain and they were just wanting to be, cautious? Yes, Sean.
The Browns are inside the 5-yard line.
Oh, okay. There you go. No, because, we want to do this every week, and I think Sean and myself, we kind of do this every week to show you that other teams are losing against bad teams. And the Dolphins are beating them, and they're doing their jobs. Every game is precious. Don't overlook this game and say, oh, well, the second half, things couldn't go there when they kept the Texans in the game. The game was never in doubt. At no point. Some guy, at the 6-7 minute mark was complaining that they pull him. I go, dude, they won the game. And he's like, oh, the game isn't over. I'm like, what are you watching, bro? We really think the Texans are going to come back on this. Come on, man. I get it. They got a couple lucky passes, whatever. But I'm not worried about that, dude. And by the way, there's only one quarterback in the NFL who is undefeated at 8-0 in every game that he starts and finishes. And his name is Tua Tagovailoa. Okay? To me, that's all that matters. Okay? So the Browns, did the Browns kick a field goal yet?
No, they're doing a booth review right now on the play. I'm not sure what they're reviewing.
Oh, because they're first and goal at the Tampa 2-yard line.
Yeah, but I'm not sure where they're reviewing something. I don't know for what?
But the last play at the 2-yard line is under review. I guess the spot of the foul or something like that, or the
yeah, it looks like
spot of the ball or
it's at
whatever.
the 3. I guess they're going to back it up to the 3 if they're looking at the knee. But I want to tell you also, the Bucks of right tackle Tristan Wirfs was carted off the field.
Okay.
And then also Adam Schefter sent out 2 minutes ago, Raiders QB Derek Carr injured.
Oh, wow. So you mean other tackles and other quarterbacks get injured in this league? Sean, really? You mean it? Wait a minute. That doesn't only happen to the Miami Dolphins? You mean other quarterbacks get injured? No. Other tackles get injured? Wow. You mean there's injuries outside of the Miami Dolphins? It's good to know. It's good to know. Ravens, by the way, are leading the Jags with 2 minutes left, 27-20. Jags do have the ball, okay? But they're at their own 25, so we'll see if Trevor and the boys can drive the field. By the way, Tannehill did lose after he had a really good performance last week. I'll give it to him. He's mediocre. He's average on his best day, but he did make a whole bunch of throws. But this is why you can't count on Tannehill. You know, somebody was asking me, who do we want to win, Cincinnati or Tennessee? And I said, Tennessee, because you don't fear the quarterback. You know, you got to fear Joe Burrow. He's a badass. And he, by the way, big play to T. Higgins at the end of that game to take the lead. And why? Because Joe Burrow's a badass. Ryan Tannehill is nothing. You know, he's a nice kid and he's a game manager. But unfortunately, Tennessee lost, which, again, you know, Derrick Henry didn't do anything. Yeah, Tannehill's great when he drops off a little screen pass to Derrick Henry, and he takes it for 60-something yards. That's when Tannehill is at his best. Jets, by the way, Mr. Mike White threw 3 touchdowns, and the Jets won 31-10 over the Bears, and the Bears also had their backup quarterback in there. Justin Fields wasn't playing. Panthers over Broncos, 23-10. Ho-hum, nobody cares. And the Commanders, I'm a Ron Rivera guy. Good for him. They beat the Falcons 19-13. And by the way, the XFL's own Taylor Henneke went out there and was it XFL or USFL? What was it? I forgot what it was. But anyway, Henneke led them again, but only 138 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Overall, Brian Robinson had 105 yards on the ground for you fantasy players out there. So that's what's going on. I think we have a final. Browns beat the Buccaneers 23-16. So they just scored a touchdown there to end the game. So how about that? The Buccaneers dropped to 5-5, and the Browns improved to a robust 3-7 right before the alleged rapist comes back to play for them next week. Tom Brady, 29 of 43, 2 touchdowns, 246 yards. Jabroni Brissett, 23 of 37, 210, a touchdown, and an interception. Pedestrian numbers. Chubb had 113 yards in the game. What I want to know is who scored that final touchdown there.
I believe it was Chubb.
It was Chubb?
I believe it was.
Let's see. Was that touchdown? Let's see, where are we at here? I got it here. A 6-play drive. That's what it was. 6-play drive, 71 yards. Nick Chubb, right guard, 3-yard touchdown. There you go.
And then also, it looks like Derek Carr is fine. He's back in the game. So.
Oh, good, man. Good. He's a good dude, bro. I'm glad that he's all right. And you never want to see, I don't want to see injuries with anybody. It's football's fun. I want to see all the best players play. Which would be great. So anyway, Don Deja says Brian Robinson has where are you at here, bro? Where are you at here? Yeah, he's given the Commanders offense a real shot in the leg. He has. And Henneke has at least been serviceable. You know what I mean? He doesn't necessarily lose his mind like the other guy who's got a world of talent, but my God, no cojones whatsoever. That poor guy, all the injuries did him in. He was never the same guy again. Carson Wentz was a monster. All the injuries ruined him. You know, when I look at Jared Goff, I never looked at him as a clutch player ever. But for Carson Wentz, the first couple of years, man, he looked good. And those injuries took a toll on his ass, unfortunately. By the way, Raiders and Seahawks are tied at 7, just to keep you guys updated on all of that after the Dolphins beat the Houston Texans 30-15. By the way, Tua Tagovailoa was awesome. 22 of 36, 299 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Waddle, 5 for 85. Tyreek Hill, by the way, ended up with a hamstring tightness, cramps, that is. He had cramps on the sidelines. 6 for 85. He took some deep shots, bro. He took some heavy shots in this game. Craycraft was 4 for 55. Trent Sherfield, 2 for 33. Cedric Wilson even caught a couple of passes, 2 for 26. So they were able to get several receivers involved in the game. Skylar Thompson was 1 of 5 for 6 yards. Skylar was kind of like Saturday Night Live, the not ready for primetime players. I use that line all the time. He's going to need a lot more playing time down the line. Hopefully they can get some more blowouts and get him in there. But he missed several open receivers. He had opportunities to make plays. And these are the things that I want to, when you see a Teddy or you see a Skylar come in, you're going to see the amazing drop-off between Tua and those guys, because Tua sees the field in a completely different way than those two guys. He has way more anticipatory skills than those guys ever will have. Listen to me, ever will have. And Teddy Bridgewater is deep into his career, and he doesn't have the anticipatory skills of Tua Tagovailoa because not every quarterback has that. In fact, there are very few quarterbacks that are great with it. Look, as much as people talk about Justin Herbert, and he is phenomenal as a talent, his anticipatory skills are rare. They rarely ever show them. Do you know why? He doesn't need them, because he relies on arm strength the entire time and accuracy. And he's accurate, and he's got a gun for an arm. So he relies on it. But when it comes, if he has to make an anticipatory throw, he will struggle with that compared to Tua, which it comes natural to him. It's automatic already with the way he sees things. Like that one play where he had that pass rush and he threw it right away to Waddle, and Waddle caught it there for a first down. That was those are anticipatory skills, not just ball placement where somebody's going to cut and where they're going to be at, and he knows how to throw that one too. But that's what anticipatory skills are, and that's why we talk. Every time I tell you anticipatory skills and I tell you ball placement and then I tell you accuracy, they're different things because they happen in different layers of it. Okay? You could be accurate and hit somebody in the numbers, but that doesn't keep them moving. You could be the ball placement. If you got somebody going and you're leading them, you're leading them. A lot of times when you used to watch 17 here and people, oh, he had a good game. And I'd say, no, it really wasn't a good game. Because they didn't really look at the passes, because Tannehill would kill yards. Why? Because he'd make receivers stop, turn around, short, whatever. So he'd make them hesitate. And once you make them hesitate, you bought the defender half that second, and boom, he makes the tackle. Now you don't get your yak. You look at it with a guy like Tua, he's leading you in your path and throwing you and leading you and helping you with the flow of the play. And those are things that you don't see with every quarterback. That's the reasons why I always tell when I talk about Tua the player, I tell you why he's a player, because of a lot of those things that I saw in Montana, that I saw in Drew Brees, that I saw in all those kind of quarterbacks that are his size. And not all of them have it. Again, short, tall, doesn't matter to me. Not all of them have it. It's a gift. It's something that just does not happen so often, and that's why those kind of players, Greasy, Tarkenton, Montana, Breeze, and now Tua. That's the way I look at it. That's kind of the way it evolves throughout the generations. There aren't a lot of those. He's this generation of those guys. I think he's Montana, as I've said many, 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 many times already. But there's not a lot of them. There's a lot of those kind of quarterbacks, but they don't play like those guys that I just mentioned. They were good and they got through with it, and they were, they were, good in their own right, but they weren't to the elite level like those guys that I talked about. And that's what I think this kid is. But today was just a rough day, a rough second half with all the injuries and everything that happened. But what I will tell you is pump the brakes. Let's not overreact. Let's not start making it sound like Teron Armstead is out for the year or anything like that. We don't know yet. Okay? Could be a precautionary thing. It could be nothing. It could be soreness and he'll be fine by next week. Could be he's out for a week. I don't know. Could be he's out longer. But let's wait till we actually have the information, and then we can kind of react off of that and we can figure it out. By the way, Marcel Louis-Jacques is set to join us straight out of the locker rooms. I'm sure after he's done talking with McDaniel and the players, ESPN's Marcel Louis-Jacques will come out and join us. Also, Palm Beach Post's Joe Schad will also be fresh from the locker rooms, and he will join us also here after he's done in the locker room. So we'll get the latest from all those guys. We'll see if they saw Teron Armstead, if they saw Austin Jackson, their thoughts, all that kind of stuff. We'll keep you updated. I'm sure Sean is keeping up with the wire to see if anything out there. Let's see, what else do we have here? Joe Schad, by the way, says Austin Jackson is limping a bit, but as he walks through the locker room, he said he's okay. If you're limping, you're not okay after you missed half a season with an ankle injury. Yeah, I don't think you're okay. Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have here? I'm trying to see if there's anything else.
Hey,
yes, sir.
Marcel has the stat of the year.
What?
Marcel Louis-Jacques has the stat of the year here.
What is the stat of the year?
The Dolphins are now 5-0 since Stephen Ross returned from suspension.
Oh, I saw that. I just didn't even want to read it because that man pisses me off. He literally pisses me off. You're supposed to be here to help the organization, and you think that Philbin and Gase are great coaches, and that you had to sign in Ndamukong Suh, and that you had to go out and trade for Tom Brady. And think about, and I'm not even going to get into honoring the Gators and the orange carpet and all the other stupid things that have nothing to do necessarily with football, but his awareness, and he pisses me off. You know who pisses me off even more? Brian Flores. Did you hear the broadcast? If there's something that all of us as Dolphin fans, we need to be so appreciative here after this Thanksgiving week and weekend, is that Brian Flores is gone, is that cancer is no longer here. The broadcast team, they get to meet with the teams, and they meet with the head coaches and the quarterback and maybe a player or two extra. And it's like a private press conference that they have in a room. I know, because when I do the Senior Bowl, I do the Senior Bowl broadcast at times, and I've done it in the past. I get to sit down with the coaches from each side of the Senior Bowl and then some of the players that were chosen as captains. And so we get to ask them questions, all that kind of stuff for our own, information for the broadcast. So these guys sat down with Tua. They sat down with McDaniel. Tua was honest enough to tell him that there were times last year where he was looking in the mirror and saying, am I this bad? Do I suck? And I just want you to know this. If you didn't hear the broadcast, you were at a bar or you're somewhere traveling or whatever. And I want you to know this or go back if you want. I don't know exactly when they were talking about it in the first half, but I was livid when I saw that, when I heard them talk about this, because I told you back, way before anybody knew, I told you that Flo never wanted Tua. I knew exactly that he wanted Jordan Love. I couldn't say it, but I kept telling you he wanted somebody else. And finally, Omar broke the story and figured it out that it was Jordan Love. I don't know who gave it to him, but obviously kudos to him. Okay. And so he was so against Tua and that he didn't get his way that he made life so impossible for that young man, picking Fitz over him, picking Jacoby Brissett over him. And it got to the point where Tua had to look in the mirror and ask himself if he sucked. And I'll tell you something where, in a way, it didn't necessarily happen to me this way because I guess I'm a little like Tua because no matter what he asked himself, he must have deep down inside thought he was the guy. But I haven't finished the whole story. I'm going to finish the whole story now. But I want you to a little personal stuff for me. You know, the last like 10 years for me in radio was not easy. Was not easy because they had like at QAM, they put like some moron sales guy in charge, and he wanted to put athletes only on the air. You know, people like Michael Irvin that really can't carry a talk show. You know, Michael Irvin is for a segment, and then you get rid of him. He's terrible on radio. Can't even do a live spot either. And so they wanted to fill up the whole airwaves with jocks. And it was an absolute failure because there aren't a lot of Joe Roses. Okay? Joe's a freaking stud. Always has been. Done a great job because he works at it, dude. Because he actually gave a shit about it. Because he actually goes to the games and goes in the locker rooms and talks to people and all that kind of stuff. He actually worked at it, dude. That's why. So, you know, you think you're going to find another Joe, and you're not. There are very few of those kind of guys. Most jocks can't do our jobs. I'll run circles around most jocks because they're lazy. They're not going to work at it. You know what I'm saying? So I lost my job there, then went to 640. They went bankrupt. Okay. Then I went back to QAM that they, you know, asked me like 3 times to go back. I finally went back on the 3rd time. Then CBS takes over, and then Intercom takes over, and the fool that's there obviously also gets rid of me. At no time did I question myself like Tua, unfortunately. But what I want you to know is I know what it's like to be like Tua when you don't get the support you need in order to do what you want to do. And when you know you have the talent to do what you like to do. I love to do this. Look, I'm humble, but I also have an ego. And I'll tell you I got a goddamn ego. Okay? And I know because I look at what others are in this market doing radio, and I know most of them aren't even close to me. Period. End of story. I don't give a shit. Okay? So while I'm humble, I'm also confident in my abilities to do a radio show and talk about all sports and drive an audience, sponsors, put everything together like we have here on this platform, which most people that are in my business cannot do what we're doing right now, which shows you, and I know, but I was always confident in myself. But it beats you down. It beats you down if you get fired. It beats you down if you lose a job here. It beats you down if somebody then lets you go. The last one, that was more planned. I was really looking forward to getting fired. I really wanted to do this because I knew that this was but the other times it was still kind of, you know, I've told you many times, the last time I was fired by QM, I did it with a smile on my face. I was like, thank you. I was waiting for this. I told him and everything. I you know, wow. You know, it was like, he looked at me weird too. He looked at me weird. I was like, hey man, thank you. I was wondering when this was going to happen. He was like, you know, that kind of, the HR guy goes, I've never seen anybody smile and be happy when they're getting fired. And I go, because I know where I'm going. So I'm good, dude. I'm good. And I walked right out of there and I told my wife, yeah. She's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, you know, that kind of stuff. So I know what it's like to feel negativity about your job and your career and all that. And he faced that. So you know what Mike McDaniel does? He turns it around by creating a 700 play highlight film and says, here, this is why you're great. How do you like them apples? So Flo, that piece of crap, created such an environment and a negative environment that a bunch of you idiots out there fell for it, and you were all over to his shit because you followed an idiot like Flo that wouldn't know offense if it bit him in his ass. And by the way, he comes from New England, where they don't know shit about offense either. They got lucky they ran into Brady, and end of story. Can we stop it already? It's over. They got lucky. They ran into Brady and no more. That's it. Outside of that, let's not make them sound like they actually know offense. And so you idiots out there fell for bashing Tua, and so did the media. Bunch of idiots in the media, too, also bashing Tua. Oh, noodle arm can't play, this, that, whatever, because somebody creates the narrative, somebody creates the FUD, and you follow it. Kind of like some of you that fall for all the shit on CNN and Fox, same kind of crap. Same kind of crap. CNN and Fox, two complete tools, and they use tools that watch them all the time because you fall for that shit. Same thing. And so now Tua goes, the environment was so negative with the media and the fans and everything that he had to question himself. He had to look in the mirror and say, am I that bad? No, dude, you're not that bad. It's the shit around you is what I kept saying myself. I wish I was, I wish secretly I could be at his house in the last 2 years so I can sit down while he's hanging out and I'm saying, yo, dude, relax. You're the man. These idiots don't know what the hell they're doing. You stay the course. You get through this shit. And that's it. And eventually he got through it. But kudos to Mike McDaniel. Because if you're a parent, you need to believe in your kid. You need to give them support. If you're a manager or a CEO, you need to give your employees confidence. You got to show appreciation. People just don't get by on life just, without any kind of support or love or at least recognition. And if somebody's working hard for you and they're coming through, you gotta help them out. And if you have a way of helping people to get better, you do that. You know how many people I've gotten in this career, how many people I've gotten in this business? There's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of easily 7, 8 people that weren't in this career, and I got them a career in this business. I've helped people get raises. I've helped people get promotions to other places. Because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to try to help your fellow man or woman. And Flo was not about that. Why? Because he was a petulant little child that wanted Jordan. And because he didn't get Jordan, and the front office thought that Tua was the better player, and they were right. And you weren't willing to work with the guy. All you were willing to do was create a negative environment to ruin the man's life. And by the way, ruin us as a fan base and our chance to have a franchise quarterback. That story I heard today from the CBS broadcasters disgusted me. In fact, I think Brian Flores should be fired. Now, the Steelers aren't going to give a shit about this, but now this is going to get out. Remember, I was talking about this earlier in the week that nobody looks dumber in the NFL right now than Brian Flores. I mean, he looks like the dumbest mofo in the world. Mike McDaniel is making him look like such a chump. It's amazing. And the rest of the league has got to go, that fucking guy, we got to stay away from. Pardon my French. But, when we talk about Flo, French is going to come out. Okay? That effing guy was out to ruin people's lives. That's not your job as a CEO. That's not your job as a manager. It's not your job as a father. It's not your job as a friend. It's not your job as a mentor. It's not your job as a leader. That was a disgusting story, dude. And I'm glad it's getting out because now they know he's stupid offensively, and they know that Brian Flores couldn't find his asshole with a funnel. So they know that at least. And now they know he's also a bad person. So That part, I got to tell you, that frosted my ass when I was watching that game today. To see that's how you're going to treat that dude. You're going to ruin a young man's life just because you didn't have the same opinion that Marvin Allen, that Reggie McKenzie, and that Chris Greer had about Tua Tagovailoa. Man, I just that disgusted me. Really did. Edward Thurston says, Big O, you don't suck. By the way, have you ever played guitar in Qatar? What do you got? What do you got there, Sean?
The Jaguars get a 2-point conversion with 14 seconds to go, and Justin Tucker missed a 67-yard field goal. The Jaguars beat the Ravens.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen?
That happened a little bit ago during your rant, and I didn't want to interrupt, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But I had to get that rant out because I heard that story and it just grossed me out. Precious. Every NFL game is precious. The Ravens just lost to the Jags. Oh, my God. What happened? Lamar Jackson couldn't drive them for a touchdown? How much time did he have in that drive? Let me see. The guy that wants to think he's a quarterback, but he's really, by the way.
He had 14 seconds. He got him down.
Oh, well, 14 is
pass, and then
that's not fair.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
I can't pick on 14 seconds. I can't do that.
If Justin Tucker's field goal, it looked like if he would have got it from 66, it would have been good. He didn't miss it by much, man.
He's good. He's so awesome, dude. That guy is.
And also, that miss broke his 67 straight field goals streak.
Right, which is unfair to him. How can you take the streak away from the guy when you're asking him to kick something from 67 yards out? Here, Justin, let's set you up for failure because we have no other choice. We only had 14 seconds, so there you go. That is funny. That's funny. That guy's the greatest kicker in the NFL history. At least at the time that I've been watching football, and I've been watching it for nearly 50 years now. Yeah. That's the greatest kicker I've ever seen in my entire life. What story did you hear about Brian Flores? Well, I just told it, bro. You may want to rewind. My throat isn't, plus we don't repeat content here. So you got it right there. All right. It's good that McMichael or McDaniel, I think you mean, knows that Tua sucks when things aren't perfect around him. He sucks. That's why when it wasn't perfect around him, he won more than he lost. And he threw more interceptions. He threw more touchdowns and interceptions. He was the winningest QB that Flo had. How does that suck? I think what sucks is, and what are you going to do? Keep him in there? Who sent this? So, Laura, what'd you think? Did you want to keep Tua in there to get killed with a 30-point lead? I guess Laura's still drinking. Travis says, I believe in him, and also because he gave me a reason. He didn't give me a reason before not by the way he was playing. I am so happy he turned that corner. He gave you a reason he gave you many reasons the first 2 years. I'm sorry if you guys didn't see it. You and Laura and whatever, I guess you guys didn't see it. See, this is the part that we have a problem with. This is the part of the translation that, some of you, it's not that he didn't give you a reason. It's that you didn't realize it, that you're not a smart enough football fan. Do I have to be brutally honest now for you and Laura? That you're both too freaking stupid to actually understand the game of football? That if you don't have an offensive line, you're going to lose. Did you watch the Dolphins the last 20 years? When you don't have a franchise quarterback, you're going to lose. I don't know if you guys don't know that, but did you watch the 3 games without Tua? Because they lost. That's there's a part of some of you out there that you need to come to the realization that you were just dead ass wrong about Tua the first 2 years. You didn't read it right. You don't understand it. You were blaming Tua when it was everything else but Tua. That's the part you guys don't understand. Oh, no, he didn't give me a reason before. No. You weren't smart enough to see the reasons he was giving you. That's the problem. He was the least sacked quarterback last year with the worst line and no running game. That's all the reason you need to know. And guess who was the number one sacked quarterback with a running game and an offensive line? Tannehill. This is the reason Laura and the other guy there, you don't know football and you don't understand. You know what you need to do? Keep listening to the show. Keep watching the show. That way maybe you'll learn about football and you'll understand. But Tua gave everybody tons of reasons why. I'll play with broken ribs and a broken finger. I'll do anything that it takes to win, and I have no help whatsoever. Second year, you finally give me Waddle, and everybody knows it's going to Waddle, and you still can't stop it. I mean, he gave you plenty of reasons. You just weren't smart enough to figure it out. That's the problem. So please, come back to reality. Take responsibility. I understand that in this society, it's really hard to take responsibility for people. When they screw up or when they're wrong, they just don't say, I didn't see it. I didn't understand it. I believe the FUD. That's your problem. But keep listening to the show. You might learn a little football. The story got me too. I've been at toxic jobs. I'm usually so laid back, and these jobs were giving me such stress. I was having migraines and vertigo attacks almost daily. Exactly. It happens, man. The issue is too many people look at the game, but few rarely watch. That's how you get the two doubters behind the worst O-lines in decades. Exactly. They teed off, and we put the tackles in some really tough situations. I need to get better, and the players will take accountability and work on technique too, according to McDaniel. Yeah. I mean, that's just part of this game, man. Unfortunately, it sucks. Today sucked that the second half was all this damn injury, man. But they did the right thing. You pulled Tua because, listen, if you get a week of practice, okay, with these bad tackles, maybe you can design some stuff and fix, but in the middle of the fly, that all of a sudden you lost Armstead, and then you go and lose Austin Jackson, and then all of a sudden you've got to thrust Brandon Shell to a position that he wasn't playing at left tackle, and then you're thrusting Greg Little in, and he hasn't played also in weeks. Oh, my God, it just becomes a mess, an absolute mess. By the way, Cutter's Edge Pro, if you are looking to change your home and take it to the next level, my friends at Cutter's Edge Pro can get it done. Go call William or Mike and tell them that Big O sent you, and they do it all, man. When we talk about landscaping, it is second to none. They can design anything and everything that you need out there, and not only for your home, but for your business. They do it all, man. Cutter's Edge Pro is all over the place, folks. Outdoor lighting, irrigation, artificial grass. By the way, my dogs love the artificial grass. You will love the artificial grass. The dogs don't take any dirt in the house anymore. Oh, and by the way, they're not even kicking up any dirt or grass. Like my girl Maiden, she, goes to her business and then she starts kicking up grass and dirt. And brother, if you're standing behind it, you're going to feel like it's like this car that is like peeling off in the mud and you're just getting hit by it. You know what I'm saying? Now with the artificial turf, she does her business and she walks away. No kicking up anything whatsoever. Super easy to clean up, and you'll save money in the long run. You know why? You're not cutting grass or or watering the grass on an everyday basis. That will save you a lot of money in the long run, folks. Please call CuttersEdgePro.com 954-472-0622. Dade, Broward, or Palm Beach counties. Tree trimming, removals, landscape design, outdoor lighting, irrigation design and build, the synthetic turf. They do it all. They've got a show, too, on Sundays at noon on WIOD. So check out Will and all the great people there at CuttersEdgePro.com. All right. What else do we have going on here? Carlos, thank you, sir, for the love on the super chat. The snitch is an SOB. Color me surprised. Big O, you're adorable. I've forgotten more about football than you'll ever know. Tua's very limited QB. You don't see that, then you're wearing blinders. Yeah. Laura, you wouldn't know about football for the first 8 years of your life or 80 years of your life in my first 8. Okay? So please. Yeah, he's as limited as Montana. He's as limited as Drew Brees. How'd that work out for them? Way to go. Keep chiming in stupid comments. We love those, Laura. Malwick, Big O, was it just me or was that Houston front four playing lights out? Well, once the tackles went down, yeah, it kind of changed everything. And they started looking a little better, overall on the D line. That O-line was, once those two guys were in, it was a mess. It was an absolute mess. Now Brandon Shell will probably get a lot of work at left tackle all week long, so he can work on his foot placement and all that stuff and habitually learn on the left side and kind of get used to it, something that he didn't have to do on the right side. Zachary says, anybody go give defense credit for outstanding performance? Well, I don't know about outstanding performance, but they did what they had to do at the end to kind of end that thing and keep them, locked in. Mike McDaniel says he doesn't have an update on Dolphins. Yeah, well, what'd you expect? You expect him to tell you anything? He never says anything about injuries. They never give you a damn thing about injuries. Come on, Big O, be honest a little bit here. Houston's defense did a hell of a job against the run after entering the game, giving up 170 yards on the ground per game. Yeah, but the problem is Miami didn't really start with the running game. They started all pass. So they put themselves in a pass pro, pretty much in a pass mentality. And then when Tua, you take Tua out and you want to now go to the run, and all of a sudden now you're losing Armstead too. And then now later on, you're losing Jackson. That just throws a wrench in everything. And all of a sudden, if you didn't come out with the mentality of punching them in the mouth and running the ball, which is what you should have done. Oh, and by the way, Wilson left for a little bit too with an injury and came back, but still he left. It took them completely out of the groove. And that's why you just can't go back turning it on at times. And then when all the changes came, forget about it now. You're definitely not going to run the ball the same way. And yes, they were primed for it, but you had to start by doing that. You had to start by establishing the run. And what did we talk about? This guy's unpredictable. And what did I tell you in the pregame show? Out of the box, right? I'm not thinking out of the box. I'm thinking normal. Okay, that's the worst team against the run. Okay, Wilson's been running his ass off. The line looks good. Let's go. Run the hell out of the ball, and nope, that's not what they did. They came out and threw the hell out of the ball and lit them up. And there was nothing wrong with it. It was the right plan. I mean, dude, you're up 30-0. So it was the perfect plan. You called the right, but then the injuries just completely changed the complexion of that game. And then it changes the perception of what you're doing. And then it changes your opinion, and you start to change it because you have the luxury of hindsight. When you're going through the game, you're not planning on losing. Oh, well, we'll pass the hell out of the ball. But by halftime, we'll have Armstead out, and then Jackson will. So let's try to then work on the run, fellas. No, that's not going to happen. That's not how it goes. This was kind of a screwed up thing, But as you're watching in the NFL, other teams have played sorry teams and they lost to them. They just allowed the Browns to get their third victory. Did Miami do that? No. Did Miami allow the Texans to get their second victory? No. No. They took care of business. So that's really what counts. And that's what you should be incredibly happy about. By the way, Sean, please send Marcel and Joe a reminder there. Big O said, Joe Schad said this: it is chilly at San Francisco and frigid at Buffalo and or New England. Tua will be challenged. Come on, man. Yeah, I'm not worried about Tua being challenged whatsoever. It's the O-line, but then that will challenge Tua. But it's not the weather. That's silliness. And I'll tell Joe Schad, if he actually thinks the weather has anything to do with affecting Tua, he's out of his freaking mind, and he'll be wrong again. How do we like that? So that to me doesn't. Anybody that brings up the weather to me, I'm just going to laugh them off. I'm going to laugh them off, and then I'll just also tell them why they're completely wrong. This has nothing to do with that at all. But the problem is they go back to Tennessee and all that, and that's just not a good example. South Florida Don says best post-game show on YouTube. Well, thank you, South Florida Don. Let's go with best post-game period, okay? Because we're smoking QAM too, all right? All right, and I love those guys over there, but they can't do what we do. So they have the limitations that we don't have. So that's the beautiful thing about all of that. What else do we have here? Strike hold the last 2 years with Tua. What was I? Someone that had no time and was able to get the ball out. I kept saying, let me see him with a decent O-line. Well, that's because you have something called common sense, dude. Common sense tells you, okay, so he's playing with complete shit, and he throws more touchdowns than interceptions. He still completes at a high percentage. He wins more than he loses. Oh, my God. Imagine if he had talent and coaching. Wow, that's what I said. Because there he is, some talent and coaching, and the whole world looks completely different. Oh, I missed your super chat. I'm sorry. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Better yet, Laura, what did Mahomes do in a Super Bowl with no O-line? How many points did he score? Because it's Tua's only right. 9 points. Yeah, but the Laura's, which probably not called Laura, it's probably a dude. It's probably one of the people have been banned before, and then they just are, continue, and they get another email, and then they chime in with more stupid shit. Which, by the way, you can also send in a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show on Cash App or Venmo, by the way. Just make sure, because we get 100% of the donation there. YouTube takes 30 on this side. We sure didn't look awesome winning today. We win when we win 10 games at best, 10-7 will leave us out of the playoffs again. But why are you so sure that they're only going to win 2 more games? What makes you think that? I never understand these kind of people that you just want to be negative to be negative. They're 8-3. They've won 8 out of their first 11 games. What would make you think they're going to start losing all these games? They beat good teams in these 8 games that they won. Did you not see it? Did they not beat the Bills already? Did they not beat the Ravens? Did they not? Who else they beat? New England, I guess, got a winning record. Not that I really look at them as this great team, but they have wins against good teams too throughout this streak. I'm not sure exactly what you're watching. Why would you even think that they're going to start losing all these games? I really don't understand some of you. I guess you just want to live in misery. Is that what it is? Let's see. What else do we have? Please, Big O, get the Manuka honey drops from Waterson at Publix. They are made in New Zealand. They are a product like Nature Bee, you're saying? Okay. All right. Manuka honey drops from Waterson. Okay. Where is it here? Okay, I wrote it. I'll tell the wife to send it to me. I'm gonna get my honey and lime too going. I need a little bit of that. Chris says they are jaded fans who can't appreciate good things in front of them, just trolls wanting their 5 minutes of fame by calling them out. Okay. Yeah, it's probably not a real name, Laura. I doubt it very much. You know, women don't say I forgot more football than you know. Even if they know, they're not going to tell you that. That's a guy's line. So that coward doesn't even have the balls to actually use their real identity. But that happens all the time. What are you going to do? Big O Jalen Phillips is looking more dangerous with Chubb on the other side. And did you see that sack was off a double team? Okay. Go look at it. He had to shake two guys off to get around and then get that sack. So, just in case people, oh, well, yeah, they're playing Houston. Well, it was a double team from Houston on that sack. So give the kid some credit. He's looked good all year, actually. He just doesn't have the sack numbers that you would like at this moment. But again, he's young. I keep trying to tell people that Jason Taylor started to wake up in year 3, and then he became Jason Taylor probably in year 4, I think it was. But year 3 was the year where it was really coming out. And Jalen had a better first year than Jason did. And Jason has had, man, his motor doesn't stop, dude. God, he is impressive. And he has been so close. And he's been pressuring. He's been right there. He's got some good stats in that sense. And the sacks are going to come, man, because it all comes with technique. And he has to learn the different linemen and their techniques. And it's kind of like Tua. Tua will learn who Belichick is, what he likes to do. He's already like 4-0 against Belichick, Laura. And so anyway, so you look at it, and once Tua plays these teams over and over again, and he faces a defensive coordinator on this team, and then 3 years later, the defensive coordinator's on another team, he's going to learn tendencies. He's going to learn things that they like to do. It's all the same here. Okay. It's just a matter of adjustment. And once you get adjusted to what you're doing, you become better at it. And it's the same thing here. Big O, would you agree? Jerome Baker has had an underrated season. He's under the radar, but every game he's solid. I just would like to use him. Again, I think we would see even more out of Jerome Baker if the corners were healthy. If Needham was there, and if you had obviously Byron and X playing at a high level, and let me tell you, and Cater could be your dime. Wow, that's some crazy shit. That would be awesome. Oh, and by the way, Brandon Jones healthy. All these things change the dynamics of this defense. And so a guy like Baker, you can't send him nearly as much. But I do love him as an edge guy, as a coverage guy, as a blitz guy. I against the run, he does a decent job, but in the middle of the field at times, he kind of gets taken up with the trash, which is the traffic. And so yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, but I do like what he's doing. And I think he could be even better given the other part of that defense being working order like they would like. Weatherspoon. Okay, so not Wettersen, Wetterspoon. Okay. All right. I will look for him. Thank you very much. Thank you for looking out. Big O, I find it amazing that the Jets continue to face backup quarterbacks and win. And as far as the Dolphins go, they need to continue to get healthy and continue to compete as best they can. Yeah, but Super V, brother, how can they get healthy if they keep losing people, man? They have no luck whatsoever. It's freaking brutal, dude. You know? It's tough. Big O, do you think Kohou can become a shutdown corner? Don't know. That's a little early for that, my friend. But he's looking good so far. I know he gave up the big play, and Rowe was a little late on the left sideline today. And corners are going to get burned. They're gonna give up some plays. But he is really, man, he's done so much from Division II. How about Veron McKinley Jr. or the third or whatever? Veron McKinley the third. He picked up an interception today. Good for him. That was actually cool. But listen, you know what could make Kohou a shutdown corner? His attitude, his professionalism, his work ethic, and his toughness. So he has a lot of the tangibles and intangibles that you need in order to become a really good player. Because even with the success he's had, he's super humble. He still stays hungry. And he should, of course, because he's, just a baby in this league. But still, there are kids that get a big head. Look at the Jets quarterback. The guy's done nothing, and he acts like a superstar just because he bangs MILFs, and yet he really doesn't do anything on the field. And now look at this, what this kid did this week. Whew. Star Seeker says, who cares about the score? We won and kept to a safe from a hard hit. Exactly. That's it. Now you're going to have to figure out some things next week. I know it's not going to be easy against San Francisco if they don't get Teron Armstead back. That's going to be one hell of a challenge. But let's see what happens. First, let's see what happens with Teron Armstead. Let's see if it's not anything serious. If it is, then we can start to, panic a little bit there for the offensive line. What story talking about with Flores today? Well, you got to rewind, Doug. I don't know exactly where it's at, but it's probably, a half hour ago now, 20 minutes ago. You can go look for it. How do I think the Phinz will do in the playoffs? Well, Chris, I have already rented an Airbnb in Phoenix, Arizona for the week of the Super Bowl. So I just want you to know what I think about the Dolphins. That good enough for you? Okay. So I'll be in Arizona covering the Dolphins all week. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. We, Sean Stanley and myself, will be in Arizona covering the Miami Dolphins week in the Super Bowl. So I hope that explains to you what I think is going to happen with the Miami Dolphins this year. That's all. I've got my pad ready to go. What are you doing to get prepared for this Super Bowl run for the Miami Dolphins? That's the question I have for you all out there. What are you doing to get ready for this Super Bowl run? Party at my house. Big O, repeat that 30-minute flow story you said an hour ago. I love it. I love it. You guys are awesome. All right. What else did I want to talk about? Skyler. Skyler was bad, man. Skyler was bad. There's no way around it. I know Teddy was kind of banged up. And I told you in the pregame, right? I said, this is the kind of game that maybe, Tua goes up to the fourth quarter, early fourth, gets out, and then Skyler plays the rest and gets some good playing time. And he did get good playing time. The sad part was he's a young quarterback that gets playing time with a broken line now. And that part sucked, dude. We can ask veteran quarterbacks sometimes to have to adjust to pressure lines and And okay, hey man, you gotta get rid of the ball and you gotta find a way to make plays because you're a veteran quarterback. But we're asking a 7th round rookie to get into a situation where the line now is completely discombobulated and he's got to now figure everything out. Now, having said all that, he had open plays. He had throws that he could have made and he was inaccurate. Okay? And maybe it's rust also because you are asking him to play and he hasn't played in several weeks. They haven't needed him in several weeks. So he's been out of a groove. So now he comes in. It's a discombobulated situation. He's then got to find his groove. You can tell he wasn't sharp. How about the Allen kid? He wasn't sharp in the first half. Second half, he started to complete some passes. Not that he's going to be anything, but he got a little bit more in a groove in the second half. And that was because he had not played in a long, long time. That creates problems for anybody, right? And then think about this. It's the same thing. Brandon Shell. All of a sudden, you've been playing right tackle. Now they want you to move over to left tackle. Wow. Greg Little, you haven't played in weeks. They haven't needed you now, right? Because Shell settled it down. Armstead was back, all that. You didn't need Greg Little. Boom, now you thrust Greg Little in there and he hasn't played in weeks. It's tough, man. It's tough. And you gotta give Skyler a little bit of a break because this is what you want now to happen is, in a perfect world. Okay. In a perfect world, if you can have a couple of more of these games, not necessarily 30-0, but a comfortable lead in the fourth quarter, maybe you can play him more and more and give him playing time so he can get more in a groove. And that way he's also ready to come in as a backup, like Don Strock was for many, many years. The stroker was always ready to come in and keep the game afloat or win the game for you. You know what I'm saying? And it's a gift. But then again, Stroker wasn't like that in his rookie year. Okay. Took a few years to develop that. And Skyler's in his first year. It's going to take a few years to develop that. That's just kind of the way it is. All right, let's do it. Joe Schad is ready to go with our hijinks. HijinksSportsGrill.com. Miami Dolphins postgame report.
Dolphins fans, it's time to talk to the man with incredibly high standards. It's not easy to score an A or grade 10 out of 10 with this guy. In fact, he isn't impressed with Joey Chestnut's dominance, Usain Bolt's speed, or even Evan Ginkel's locks. Will the hijinks continue? Can the Miami Dolphins do the impossible by getting a passing grade with Joe Schad? It's time for the Hijinks Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Report. This report is brought to you by Hijinks Sports Grill in Boca at 133 Southeast Meisner Boulevard. Enjoy happy hour 4 to 7 p.m. Reserve a VIP table online and receive 1 free sparkling wine. Follow them on Instagram at Hijinks Sports Grill. Here's Miami Dolphins insider Joe Schad.
There he is, fresh from the locker rooms, looking sharp, tie and all. How you feeling, my man? You feeling a little better than some of the Dolphin offensive linemen?
Yeah, we're holding out hope that Teron Armstead's pec injury isn't very serious, but when you have a pec injury and are unable to return to the game, it often is serious. Of course, if there's a partial tear or tear, that would be a 6-month injury ending Teron Armstead's season and possibly changing the entire outlook of Miami's season. But we will hold our breath and, wait and see and hope and pray. Certainly Austin Jackson, Brandon Shell, Greg Little, some combination of those guys. They're not as good as Teron Armstead.
No, they're not. And here's the only thing that might give the Dolphin Nation, I think, Joe, a little hope is they've been precautionary with all their players. So, and they were winning comfortably at that point. So there was really no reason to bring them back and say, hey, you know what, Teron, let's take the precautionary approach here. Let's get you out just in case. So maybe, just maybe, it's a
You're
sprain or
right.
something like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's hope. Let's hope.
You hear a lot more about pulled pec. You hear a lot more about torn pecs than strained pecs. But and McDaniel did say that regardless of the score, Armstead would have been unable to play. And the Dolphins' offensive linemen were concerned in the locker room. I can tell you that. So, but you know what? We got to get the tests, and we'll see. Obviously, the entire complexion of this game changed after he went out because Tua Tagovailoa was then sacked 4 times, and Tua has hardly been sacked all season. Mike McDaniel took some of the blame for that, said that he should have been less aggressive in his play calling based on the changes that occurred at offensive tackle with Brandon Shell, who's played very well at right tackle, playing the far more unfamiliar left tackle.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, the part with Shell, everything that went on, and I'll give you an example. You look at the quarterback for the Texans. The kid hadn't played in well over a year. Okay. Well, how did he look in the first half? He was kind of discombobulated. The second half, he started to settle down a little bit. Well, Brandon Shell, poor guy's been playing right tackle the entire time, habitually doing everything right. Now, all of a sudden, you throw him over on the left side. He has to now adjust automatically to the left side where he's facing the better athletes. Boom. Okay. Now Jackson goes down, and here comes Greg Little, who has not been needed for weeks. Now he has to play all of a sudden. Skylar Thompson, he did not look sharp. He comes in. He hadn't played in weeks. And you kind of look all around. It's kind of a common theme on some of the struggles. Now, Greg Little is he's a bad player so far from what I've seen. Unfortunately, I have to say that. But it doesn't help him that he hasn't really had playing time. So it doesn't matter whether you're a good player, whether you're a mediocre player, whether you're a young player. It's really hard to come in cold or adjust to a completely new position like Brandon Shell did. That's where I think it got a little crazy, and it happened so many pieces that it really threw everything off kilter.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Dolphins had a 30-0 lead at halftime against the worst team in the National Football League, looking to win their 5th straight game, to go 8-0 with Tua. It was kind of hard to keep the gas full throttle there. You were really just trying to kind of run out the clock in the second half. I guess it is a little surprising that the Dolphins were unable to get traction in the run game. You would have thought that this would be a game where Jeff Wilson could really get things going. We certainly hope that he and Raheem Mostert are going to be able to face their former team, San Francisco, next week. Mike McDaniel was asked about facing the Niners. He said, please, can you just give me a day? But, of course, he also added that it's not about him. But, listen, the preseason essentially is over for the Dolphins. Their last 5 opponents, their previous 5 opponents, are nowhere near the class or caliber that the Dolphins are about to face over the final 6 weeks. When you look at those teams and the pass defense that Tua Tagovailoa is about to face with San Francisco and the Chargers and Buffalo and the Jets and New England, those are all good pass defensive teams. And then you look at the overall offensive rankings that Josh Boyer and his unit is going to have to face, the Jimmy Garoppolo, Deebo Samuels, the Justin Herbert, Keenan Allens, this Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. This is a step up in class. And let me ask you this, Big O. If I were to say to you 4 and I don't know, what do we have left? 8-3 record.
6 games.
Just
left.
6. Wow. Okay. So if I were to give you 3-3, you have a choice to take it or leave it. So you get to be 11-6. You probably tie for first place in the AFC East. Would you take the 3-3, or would you rather play it out?
Is Armstead healthy?
Let's say Armstead misses 2 games.
Oh, I'll take the 3-3.
Okay. So that just shows us how big of an impact.
If Armstead is healthy, I like my chances. I'll take.
Well, we know he's not healthy. He's playing.
I'll roll with the punches, and I think they'll win 4 or 5 out of the 6. Actually, see, the difference is I already saw them play tough defenses in the first half, and they also beat those tough defenses too. At the same time, for me, it's not about them. It's about the Dolphins. It's about Teron Armstead being healthy, actually, and bring more balance to that line that they need. If you do that, then they're going to be more themselves. The other part of the equation, I will agree with you. The parts that Boyer has to face, and it's not because I feel any negativity towards Boyer. I just feel that he's been put in a really tough situation because his defense was structured one way, and all of a sudden now he's had to completely change it because of all the damn injuries in that secondary that has just ruined how you play defense for them. So they've had to adjust and play more zone at times, and they're playing a bunch of young guys that, they're all still learning. So it's kind of a challenge for them. I will agree. But if the Dolphins can have Armstead healthy, I like my chances.
It was good to see Xavier Howard get involved in a turnover play, not an interception, but a touchdown. Maybe that'll give him a little bit of a boost as he is about to take on some of the aforementioned receivers that are top-notch, top caliber. Certainly Xavier is feeling a little bit better, a little bit healthier. Yeah, I mean, you look at the caliber of quarterbacks that the Dolphins have to face down the stretch here in terms of Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert. Yeah, obviously not so much on the Mac Jones, Zach Wilson / Mike White. Did the Jets play today? I didn't pay attention.
He played well, bro. Mike White threw 3 touchdowns, dude.
Mike White from Pembroke Pines. Who did they play? Did they win?
Yeah, they won.
Who did they beat?
Yeah. Damn it.
Forgive me for not knowing. I was not paying attention.
Dude, you're working. Beat guys are stuck in that world. I totally, completely get it, bro.
So that's interesting. Mike White threw 3 touchdowns and the Jets won.
Yeah, dude, he threw 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
This is a guy who threw for 400 yards in a game last year.
They beat the Bears with a backup quarterback because the Bears couldn't start. Yeah, they started. Trevor Siemian is terrible, but Mike White went 22 of 28, 315 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Okay.
Wow. Mike White I kind of compared Mike White to Skylar Thompson. And then I know Skylar didn't do much today, but I was kind of talking to Skylar Thompson about Mike White. And he didn't really know the story about how he had come in and thrown for 400 yards when called upon. He was the 3rd stringer, and Skylar's a good dude, and it's interesting. He's been dressed as the backup now for 2 consecutive games. I thought it was interesting that the Dolphins got 2 out of there real quick. They wanted to pull him after 2 series.
Yes.
So 30-0. But also interesting.
But he was taking hits, Joe.
The Dolphins discussed.
You don't disagree with it, right? You don't disagree with that, right? With all the hits he was taking?
Well, it was a little early, and then what happened is the Dolphins actually had a conversation about whether to reinsert him into the game. I don't know if you knew that. So,
yeah, I would have reinserted him if that last field goal that the Houston Texans, if it became a touchdown, I would have reinserted him then. Remember that I don't know if you were on the beat then, but the Patriots once took a big ass lead on Miami, and then they brought in Matt Castle. I believe Jason Taylor intercepted him and took it for a touchdown or something. And immediately they put Brady back in to drive down for a touchdown because, it was like, no, hold on a second. No, we're not going to allow this.
Didn't that also happen with Garoppolo? I feel like Garoppolo.
I don't know.
I feel like Garoppolo came in and then got yanked when I was covering the team. So maybe it happened more than once.
So maybe it wasn't Castle.
Maybe it was Garoppolo.
Maybe it was Garoppolo. Maybe. I don't know why I'm thinking it was way back and it was Castle. But I don't know. Maybe somebody will tell us what was it? Was it Garoppolo? Was it Castle? Or was it both? Or I don't know. Maybe it's happened twice.
But you're right. I mean, you could argue that the Dolphins. I mean, who's more invaluable than Teron Armstead? I mean, obviously Tua and Tyreek. Is Teron Armstead harder to replace than Tyreek Hill? It's close.
No. He's impossible to replace. Tyreek, you can get by without him because you still have a legit number 1 in Waddle, and then other guys can play off of Waddle, and you can get Gesicki more involved, which you don't get him involved that much. You can score points without Tyreek. Will you be as explosive? Probably not, but Tua's accurate enough that you'll be able to make plays with those other guys once he gets in a groove with those guys. But Armstead, there's no replacing because you're
Now,
loaded at wide receiver. You're not loaded at left tackle.
now, Austin Jackson left the game with an ankle injury. I saw him after the game. He said that he's okay. He was walking, a little bit of a limp, so it did not look like a significant re-injury of the ankle. But let's
Is it
just
the
say
same
that
one? Is it the same one?
I believe so. Yeah, I don't think is the other one.
Okay,
I don't know.
I forgot which one it was and what was. I forgot which one was the injured one, and then which is the one he injured today. I'm not exactly sure. That's the part that I'm fuzzy on right now.
Okay, until I hear otherwise, I was going under the assumption that it was just an aggravation of the high ankle injury. But he did, but let's just say Jackson can't go and Armstead can't go.
Oh,
Who would you put a light tackle? Would you go Little at left tackle and Shell at right tackle? I guess so.
Yeah, I have no choice. I'm going to line up.
Little and
I'm
Shell.
going to line up the tight end. What's it called? Smythe right next to Greg Little, and I'm going to have Max protect for the entire game, pretty much. And I'm going to have only a couple of guys out in routes. If Tyreek is healthy from the cramps, which I think he should be, then I'm going to have Waddle and Tyreek creating as much havoc as possible. But I think it's a week where I'm going to have to go max protect because there is no way I'm allowing Boza to go up against Little by himself. Cannot do that. Cannot do that. Will not do that.
That's a tough deal because the Dolphins don't like to go max protect. You noticed even on 4th and 1 today, I think in the red zone for the Texans, Dolphins go shotgun 5 wide receivers spread out. And it worked.
The problem is, Joe, you have a defect that I have, and we think in the box. And so we saw this team and said, well, Jeff Wilson kicked some ass 2 weeks ago. The line looked good. This is the perfect game. Unleash Jeff Wilson, a little Gaskin, a little Ahmed, Tua throw 25 times, keep it relaxed, power the game. This is an easy game, coast. But Mr. Smart Guy thinks completely out of the box. And we thought common sense, and he thinks and it wasn't bad by his part. He was up 30-0. Really what changed the whole dynamics of the way he wanted to play was the injuries. If these guys don't get injured, they light them up again in the second half, and they just move on and probably rest to in the fourth quarter where Skyler's playing with an even bigger lead. But the sad part was the injuries changed the dynamics. And then if you decided to change the dynamics of wanting to run the ball, well, guess what, baby? You're not running it with those 2 tackles anymore because they're not used to doing what they're doing right now. And now you're asking them to run people over on the other side. And that's where it wasn't going to work because you were in pass happy mode the entire time. And now, and by the way, the other thing, you take a 30-0 lead at halftime. Human nature, baby. You let your guard down in the second half, and it's hard to keep that mojo going. The bye week didn't stop them, but the halftime after a 30-0 lead did.
So U.S.-Iran on Tuesday at 2, that's when you're going to Hijink Sports Bar and Grill?
Yes, I am. Yes. I don't know where you were going with that.
You're going to watch the soccer match?
No, I'm going to go hang out with Rob. I'm going to go hang out and check out the food. And then, I'll be watching USA and Iran while I'm at it. But I'm not going there just to watch USA and Iran.
Who are you rooting for? I actually mentioned to Mike this week, I said, I saw Saudi Arabia and Japan pull some upsets. And he goes, case in point, we're not taking the Texans lightly. I just love this McDaniel. He's an awesome dude. He's so funny. All right, check out the Palm Beach Post. I posted the 5 instant takeaways. We talk about Jason Sanders. We talk about Xavier Howard. We talk about Tua Tagovailoa. And we talk about the Teron Armstead injury, unfortunately.
Did Tua have anything to say in his press conference that was noteworthy?
I was in the locker room during Tua's press conference. I was talking to the offensive lineman. So
Hal was handling it. Hal was handling the big press conference.
I think actually Tom D'Angelo.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Tom D'Angelo 44 on Twitter. Yeah.
biggest story.
We don't remember phone numbers anymore. We only remember Twitter handles now.
The biggest story of the day was actually Teron Armstead, unfortunately. Let's hope that it's an overblown story and it's not as bad as we fear.
No, I hope not. And by the way, did you see Tyreek in the locker room? Did he look fine?
Yeah.
Did you see him? Yeah.
He looked fine. He looked fine. Okay. I was finishing my notebook at that time, but yeah, I understand he left early, right? He looked fine.
Yeah, no, because he was cramping up. I mean, it's cramps.
Cramps.
So
okay.
that's not really
he gets
something.
Cramps.
We
all get cramps.
Yeah,
I get cramps.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you as hard as you work every day, all those stories, how do you not cramp up? You better, a lot of fluids, bro. All right? Got a lot of work to do.
I'll talk to you Tuesday.
Yes. Follow him on Twitter at Shad Joe and catch his work there at the Palm Beach Post. Take advantage of the Black Friday sale they still have going on right now at the Palm Beach
it's like
Post.
6 months for $10.
Yeah. See, that's stupid. It's just stupid. 6 months for $10, and his work and how on the Dolphins, that alone is worth it. Joe, we love you. We'll catch you on Tuesday.
Good to see you, bud. All
right, you got it. There he is, Joe Schad. We are done with hijinks. No more hijinks with Joe Schad.
This has been the Hijinks Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Report with Joe Schad. This report is brought to you by Hijinks Sports Grill in Boca at 133 Southeast Meisner Boulevard. Enjoy happy hour from 4 to 7 p.m. Reserve a VIP table online and receive 1 free sparkling wine. Follow them on Instagram at Hijinks Sports Grill.
All right, we're about to get Marcel Louis-Jacques. He'll be joining us very, very soon. Very soon. And we'll get to talk to him, and we'll get the breakdown. We'll get his thoughts on the win over the Texans and a lot of the negative injury news that's coming from it. Let's go, baby. Let's get into it. Our myedgedrink.com Miami Dolphins postgame report.
Time to get the edge on the Miami Dolphins with our Edge Energy Drink Miami Dolphins report. When you want the energy drink that's delicious and smooth with zero aftertaste, you can only order Edge Energy Drink at myedgedrink.com. That's myedgedrink.com. Here's ESPN Dolphin insider Marcel Louis-Jacques.
Wow. David Shaw stepping down at Stanford, I see there. I did not know that. Wow.
That was the college story nobody was talking about after yesterday. Kind of happened overnight, though.
Good dude, bro. Good dude. All right. How you doing, first of all? You doing all right?
Yeah, man. That was hard to pay attention to for a second there. But things got interesting late. Other than that, man, for at least 2 quarters, that's exactly what it's supposed to look like when you have 2 weeks to prepare for the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, it's funny because human nature is you would let up in the bye week. Oh, we're playing a sorry-ass team. And actually, they came out sharp. And then after they abused them for a half, I think that there was kind of a little bit of a let up in the second half because it's only human nature. And then the worst thing really that changed, I was just telling Joe this, really what changed everything was the injuries. Because, sure, thinking in the box, normally all of us thought, oh, they're going to run the hell out of the ball today because those people suck against the run. And Wilson's been hot. Why not unleash the Kraken? Go ahead, do it. No, that's not what the outside the box guy thinks outside the box. And he went and threw the ball all over the place. And it worked. It was fine. You were running him off the court or off the field. And unfortunately, the injuries just ended up like changing everything, dude. Brandon Shell wasn't playing left tackle. He's playing right tackle. Now he's got to change up his whole habits to left. And then all of a sudden, Jackson goes down, and now you thrust in a Little, who hasn't played in weeks, and he's not very good. I mean, it really changed the dynamics of that team, really.
It was tough. And McDaniel basically said that he will take responsibility for putting guys in tough position. Tua even took responsibility and said the plays that I wanted run were not things that again, put guys in position to succeed. The end of the facts are the facts there. The line got a lot worse when Teron Armstead left the game.
Those are 2 leaders lying on the sword, bro. That's all.
Yeah,
That's all Tua and
it's
McDaniel did. They were leaders lying on the sword, and that's what they're supposed to do. Even though we know it's really not their fault, but they have to take the heat for it. That's what those two leaders are there to do. They're supposed to do that. That's it.
yeah, and even McDaniel even said, that's one thing about these guys is I will sit up here and I will take responsibility for it, but they will take accountability among themselves to be better next week. You hope and pray, if you're a Dolphins fan, you hope and pray that Teron Armstead could play next week. Otherwise, it's Nick Bosa against who? Doesn't matter.
It'll be Greg Little for sure, and it'll be Brandon Shull at right tackle because that he excelled there. So leave him where he's comfortable, and whether he likes it or not, I think you've got to go max protect. And when you've got Greg Little at left tackle, then you're going to have either the tight end or Michael Dieter or something. You're going to have to do something. But I would think that I would use the tight end there and then get by with that at least. So that way Bosa has to deal with the double team the entire time, and you have, unfortunately, less people running routes. But if you have Tua and Tyreek running routes, I like my chances on getting open.
Yeah, look, it's a good this is a good Niners defense on all three levels. They got a safety, Tuafonga, who's playing at an all-pro level this year. I imagine that D'Amico Ryans is going to have him running all over the field. It's a guy you can't really play around with. So these play actions that are so impressive today, these play actions where you'd never see it, where Tua is turning his back completely to the defense, whipping around and knowing exactly where his guys are going to be. I think people see it and Tua makes it look easy, and people say that's easy to do. That is incredibly difficult and impressive to be able to do, and that speaks volumes to the timing of this offense and precision of this offense. That his back is to the defense. This is what I'm talking. Remember when we sat in this parking lot 2 weeks ago, and I told you Tua is not playing against defenses. Defenses are playing against him right now.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. He doesn't need to see, okay, this is how they're lining up. This is where they're going post-snap. He read it pre-snap and said, this is where my guy's going to be. This is what they're doing. I know where I'm going with the ball. That really, seeing him do that a couple of times today really, I thought impressed me, especially after a bye and then another break in action, considering that they were off for Thanksgiving, that, it had trap game written all over it, right? And I don't use that word lightly. Like, it had trap, it had lull, it had slow start written all over it, and they didn't do it. This is a different Dolphins team than I think we're accustomed to seeing last year, maybe even the year or two prior. So, I thought that I thought it was an impressive first half. Predictably, they slowed down a little bit in the second half. They weren't going to foot to throat the entire time. That is something that, I think we saw them do against Cleveland. So I'm not worried about their ability to do so, ability to finish an opponent off or put that proverbial foot to somebody's throat. In this case, I really don't think it would have taken an epic collapse. And epic might not even be a strong enough word for it, for this Houston team to come back, because that is one of the worst football teams I've ever seen with my own eyes. It's not close.
Yeah, no, that was a really, really bad team that they played today. Again, do you know anything at all? I doubt you know anything about the Armstead situation, right? Do we even have a feeling if it's really? Because see, the thing I'm holding out hope is that they've been very precautionary this year with injuries. Like, they don't really put a lot of guys at risk normally. It's like, okay, you're in, let's hold you out. And since they had such a fat ass lead, maybe they want to hold them out. So I don't know, man. If it's a tear, they're screwed, obviously. But I'm hoping it's just some kind of strain or sprain, bro.
Yeah, I mean, McDaniel told us that it was something that he could not have come back from today. So, I thought maybe, and I think a lot of people thought maybe it's just not something you play around with. Look, if you're banged up, we're up by 30. Come on in. It'll be okay. Not the case. McDaniel said that there was no update after the game today. He didn't sound overly optimistic, but you take his words for it. There is no update. We'll have to wait until tomorrow afternoon. I think we'll know more. But it's concerning. It's a different offensive line without him. And we know that he's been banged up this year with that toe injury. And I think he popped up with an Achilles injury at some point. But the pec would be major. It's something he has missed time with previously in his career. It's something he's played through previously in his career. It's a matter of pain tolerance, but it does impact your effectiveness. Because I mean, shoot, man, you think you use your toe on every play? You damn sure use your pectoral muscle as you're trying to force the best athletes on the field or keep the best athletes on the field from touching your quarterback. So it is a concern, and we are kind of past the point. You remember when he left the game against the Jets, and you and I spoke, and I said, if he's going to miss time at all this year, that was the time to do it, because you don't want to have to miss time late in the season when the games matter a lot more. You're running out of time to be missing games. You're tied with the Bills. You get the tiebreaker, but you are technically tied with the Bills right now atop the AFC East. You're a game above the Jets, who look like a football team again with the quarterback. They look like a football team again. They played the Bears.
They beat another team with a backup quarterback. They are the luckiest team in the NFL. I do like their defense.
Yeah, but the backup quarterback didn't play defense today.
I don't fear Mike White. I don't fear Mike White. He had a terrific game, but all their wins have been against backup quarterbacks, dude. They are the luckiest team in the NFL, period.
It's lucky, it's this, it's that, the third, but they're 7-4 or whatever it is right now. So like they can luck their way into it, but the fact is that week 18 game might be for some. That it might be for a division title for Miami. It might be a playoff berth for New York. Regardless of how they got there, they're there. They're there, and that's what matters. They look better without Zach Wilson. They look better without Zach Wilson, and they have the defense is real. I'm not freaking out over what they did against. Who the hell did they play? Was it Simeon? Was it Peterman?
Yeah,
was it both?
Simeon.
I don't. Who cares? They're interchangeable.
Simeon got hurt in warmups. It was Peterman, and Peterman is, my God, I'd rather have you at quarterback.
Hey, look, I'm not. Hey,
you don't have much of an arm, and I'm told you don't have much of an arm, and I'd rather have you at quarterback because I've heard you've also got a noodle arm too.
I promise you, I can throw that thing 50 yards. I promise you. I've done the research. I've done the tests. I've done the development. I got 50 yards in this right arm. But I'm not swooning over what that defense did against Nathan Peterman. I am swooning over what they have done.
It's a good defense.
Previously, and when you look at the starting quarterback, they did beat Josh Allen. They did beat Josh Allen. It's hard to do. So I think that it's a legitimate defense. It's a well-coached defense as well. These games matter is what I'm getting at. Like you don't have over the next, we'll call it 5 or 6. You got room to lose one because of, the tiebreakers. You can still win against Buffalo and New York, but it's tight, man. It's really tight. So you would hope that if he is hurt, it's maybe a 1-game absence. At best, it's a 1-game absence, but you got pass rushers coming on, legit pass rushers on both of each of your next two opponents with Nick Bosa and Khalil Mack. So you would like to be at full strength facing either of those teams.
Well, Jets are at Vikings next week, so we'll see now. Now they'll get a starter on the road, and the Vikings team will be a little fresher because they played on Thursday. So we'll see if they can actually survive that. Miami, obviously, next week is at the 49ers. The Bills, where are the Bills on Thursday night at the Patriots? So short week for the Bills to go to New England and play. That's not going to be easy for them because that's going to be
they play this coming Thursday.
Yeah, they play Thursday.
No, it's a long week because they played on Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right. That's right. They get a whole week.
So actually, they'll be kind of
they'll be rested. They'll be
pretty. Yeah, they'll be but they just lost Von Miller. Who knows for how long? That Detroit turf is trash. Too. I remember talking to Raheem Mostert about that a couple of weeks ago, saying that was the field he hurt his knee on last year. It's one of those fields that when you see NFL players tweeting about going to grass, That is one of the fields that they have in mind. Trash field.
Yeah.
But either way, you hate to see it happen to one of the great players in the game right now. So hopefully, for his health standpoint, he'll be okay. If not, I mean, at worst or at best, they're getting a banged up Von Miller. Miami's getting a banged up Von Miller in week 15. So look, man, I think at full strength, I think Miami has what it takes to run the table here. They have what it takes to run the table here. That Niners game, if I had to pick anyone that they're going to lose, I would probably,
well, they have what it takes.
I would say the Niners game.
Armstead is healthy. If Armstead is playing,
that's what I said at full health.
Yeah,
at full health. That's what I said. But like I said, gun to my head, if I had to choose a game that they might lose, that 49ers game, just because of what that team can do on either side of the ball. They're better than the Chargers. I think they're better than the Bills right now, to be quite honest, unless it's a blizzard out, which it could be. It's mid-December in Buffalo. But unless it's a blizzard and conditions are just out of whack and it evens the playing field like that, they've looked loads better, miles better than the Bills have over the past month of the season. Like, I think they go into that game, if the Bills are favored by 3, that might be the case, which basically means it's a push, right? Teams get 3 points at home. I think that's about close. That's about close to a pick 'em, which if you're Buffalo, that's not ideal for you. If a South Florida team is coming into your home in December, and you could basically call it a coin flip. But then those last games against New England and New York, it's going to decide. I think it's going to decide the division, man. Like, this thing's going to go down to week 17, week 18. We knew since May this was going to be that stretch that defines the Dolphins season. That this is that stretch that's really going to make the Dolphins, and where we're really going to learn who they are. And I think we've learned a lot about them already. We've learned that they're a team that can handle adversity, that can win in the face of adversity, a team that a 2-score deficit is not a death sentence anymore. It's not a death sentence anymore. It's a different team. It's a team that's making strides defensively. We're seeing that philosophical switch that we've been talking about here for a few weeks now. We're still seeing it round in the form. Bradley Chubb was a menace today. Everybody was a menace today. Houston's O-line sucks, but Chubb is still being the guy that you're paying $100-some-odd million to. Like, he's showing you why he earns that money, why he's earning that money. If that defense rounds into form and Armstead doesn't have to miss multiple weeks, it's a team that I don't think a lot of people are going to want to play come postseason.
Austin Jackson, what do you know?
Same deal as Teron Armstead. I saw him walking into the locker room. He was the last guy in the locker room today after the game. Definitely a limp there, but no, I didn't see him in a walking boot per se. I didn't catch him on his way out of the stadium though. But he looked like he was obviously nursing a little bit of pain there at the end of the game. We'll get a full update, or close to an update, from Mike McDaniel during tomorrow afternoon's media session, so sometime around 4:00. But obviously, you would prefer for Austin Jackson to be playing, especially particularly if Teron Armstead is actually hurt.
Will Byron Jones play at all, or is he just going to stay doing Porsche videos?
Porsche video. Hey, I've said this whole time.
Did you know about that?
I did not. But he's a car guy, right?
Go search Byron Jones Porsche, and it just came out last week. Him and several other NFL players talking about their love for Porsches and driving them together and going out on the. It looks like they're on the West Coast and all that. So he's a car enthusiast, and he loves his Porsches. I think Kendricks is another one of the players that has a Porsche that's in that thing. So yeah, it's you want to check it out.
Yeah, I know he's a big car guy, but like I've been saying this whole time, if you haven't heard of his window being activated, add 3 weeks to his return. Take this week, so week 13, 14, 15. and then maybe he'll be back for week 16, 17, or 18. I think week 16 is the earliest that we'd see him. And, don't run with that. This isn't an official report. I am saying that, he's not going to play the week he's activated. He's probably not going to play the week after. And, maybe the third week after that. But I would say, like I said, add 3 weeks to the current week if he hasn't been activated yet.
Well, he won't play. He won't play until he's right. Until he's 100%. Okay.
I mean, at this point,
saying
he's 100%. You play him over Cater? I don't think I do.
Yeah. Well, no, I move Cater inside, and I keep him on the outside, and I make the team better in the secondary. Hell yeah, because you need 3 good corners, my man. And Cater has the hips to play. That's what I love about Cater. He can play outside and inside, and he has the athleticism also to play against tight ends and everything. I think Cater has all kinds of freaking abilities, dude. Yeah. Hell yeah.
My favorite thing about Cater.
There was when they drafted Pat Surtain, okay, and they had Madison, and they were young, but they also had Terrell Buckley, right? And so Buckley had the experience. So what they did was, in his first year, they put Buckley on the outside with Madison on the outside, and they put Surtain in the slot. And why did they do that? Because Surtain had the hips to play the slot, where Madison did not. Madison was a outside corner. He was never an inside corner because that was not his thing. He liked to play aside. And so some corners are like that. And that's what I love about Darth Cater, is that Darth, you can play him on the outside. You can play him on inside. The kid's got a lot of ability, dude. And what he did with Mark Andrews in that Baltimore game, when he skied up there to make that play, that's some shit, dude. A Division II player to do that. I mean, I was just talking about him. You see him all the time. What I like about him also is he's had success, but he's not Zach Wilson. He's not letting even though that guy never had success, but his head just grew and grew and grew because he kept banging.
Big O, he's 5-1 as a starter. Big O,
yeah, he's 5-1. He
won 5 games this year.
Yeah, barely doing anything in those wins. But anyway, my point is,
if there were ever proof, an embodiment, living embodiment that wins are not a quarterback stat, it's Zach Wilson from this year.
Yeah. But
wait
a minute. They are a stat if you're the man that stirs the drink. Okay, so when you're Aaron Rodgers, and when you're Tom Brady, and when you're Pat Mahomes, and when you're Tua Tagovailoa, yeah, dude. Because when you're running the offense, boy, it's a completely different offense than when anybody else is running the offense. So that's where I give wins value to a quarterback. Dude, I've been here for 50 years and watching a really bad Dolphins team for 20 not have the guy that can make a difference in games. And, now we have the guy that can make a difference in the games. So to me, that's why I think winning is a stat depending on the guy. That's all. So
I think it's worth mentioning depending on the guy, but it's not a quarterback stat, because if it's a QB stat, like, there's too many stipulations. There's no way to uniformly say, okay, like, quantifiably say this guy is the reason why they won. If you count quarterback wins for one guy, you got to count them for them all. So, like, I'm not using wins as a QB stat, but it's worth mentioning for some guys when it is not worth mentioning for others.
Right. I kind of look at it that way.
This team keeps winning.
Like Peyton Manning, did he really carry the Broncos to a title?
No, he did not at all. Like, very much didn't. That was that defense.
That was
his worst season ever.
He's the worst quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. Okay.
Statistically, individual season, 100%. Like, that was one of the worst statistical quarterback seasons that ended in a Super Bowl win. Yeah, but you can say, I mean, this year, like, you could say the Jets won 5 games in spite of Zach Wilson.
Yes.
And the Dolphins have won 8 games because of Tua, largely because of Tua. But wins are not that, like, when we talk about Tua stats, I can't in good health say, or, all fairness say, the Dolphins he's 8-0 or he's whatever as a starter. because then you gotta say it for Zach Wilson too, and that's misleading. So I think it's part of the conversation, but it's not a stat itself.
You fear Brady with the Patriots. You no longer fear the Patriots anymore because Brady's not there anymore. You know what I mean? It's just a whole different ballgame. And sure, they won enough to even get in the playoffs last year. They won enough with Matt Castle almost to get in the playoffs one year. Miami ended up being the team that year. But again, it's a different thing when it's the guy that is the main reason why you are what you are. You know what I mean? And to me, that's where I decipher it, in other words. You know, I have to separate church and state here. Okay, who are you? You're Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, no. It's Derrick Henry that does it. You are there to facilitate, and at times you can be a good facilitator. But are you going to be the difference maker? No. And that's the guy that gets the stat for me, the difference maker at that position.
You want to know? You want to talk about actually something interesting from something really interesting, I thought, from today. First of all, why are there 4 games on in the 4 p.m. hour? That's weird. It's really weird.
You're saying that's a lot, right? Is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, it's usually 3. I was just checking the scoreboard real quick. I was like, why are 4 games happening? No, what I thought was really noteworthy from this post-game press conference. So everybody who watched the CBS broadcast probably heard they told the story about how Tua looked himself in the mirror several times last year asking, do I suck? And McDaniel played a 700 play clip for him, highlighting his strengths to remind him, no, you're good at this game. And I asked McDaniel about that, gave a good answer. And I followed up asking, like, were you aware that his confidence was even that low? Like, was there a point that you could tell? And he said it was more rooted in intuition, not fact. And then goes on to say, from my perspective, I felt like the guy was put behind the 8 ball and then stopped himself. Because it was that close. He said what he meant to say, but it was that close to saying this last coaching staff didn't know how to use him.
Right.
Which basically, like, I don't like putting words in people's mouth, but like, let's read between the lines here a little bit. That is kind of what he's saying. It's like that when you're not allowed to play to your strengths, how could you be confident? What else could that possibly mean other than he wasn't put in position to succeed last year? That was, we were talking, I got a few friends on this Houston beat, and they're talking about, Brian Flores came up and someone asked, does he get another head coaching job? And I said, it gets a little less likely, or if it's happening, it gets a little farther away with every damn week that Tua looks like this.
Right. Exactly. And that story comes out. And that story comes out, you're the one that created that narrative. You're the one that fed all that bullshit, and then you convince other people that he's not that good. And so then the media and the fans are riding on Tua, thinking that everything else is bad when he's the bad guy. And by the way, I kept telling all of you guys that you would come on the show. I would tell you he's raising hell inside that building, and he was raising hell on a consistent basis. That's not a good dude, bro. That dude, he has ability to coach football and defense, but his people skills, he can never be a head coach again. And that story gets out, and then the success of this offense now and that quarterback, it should convince everybody that Brian Flores is not fit to be a head coach. You want to hire him to be some kind of a position or defensive coordinator, fine, but don't put him in a position of authority where he is representing your franchise, because his self-interest. See, the beauty of Mike McDaniel is that he understands that he has to include everybody. He has to be inclusive in order for
first-year coach. He gets the entirety of it. It's more than just X's and O's. And it makes me think, because my first thought just then, and I not thought about this until just now, so you guys can let me know what you think. My first thought when you say, like, when you look at this offense, you wonder at what was wrong with Flo. Flo didn't have this offense. And hear me out here. He didn't have Tyreek Hill. He didn't have Teron Armstead. He didn't have this, that, and the third. But it makes me wonder, would this have even been possible to compile if Flo was here? The reason why when he was fired, I was surprised but not shocked, surprised but not shocked, is I could believe he would be let go, because what offensive staff are you going to put together there in year 4 when it's been a new staff every single time? You're seen as a revolving door. What legitimate offensive staff can you put together? What faith do we have at this point that you can put together a good offensive staff? We don't.
He
we have none.
He was already cock-blocking all kinds of moves already.
So you're going to scrape. So you're going to scrape the barrel. In theory, you're scrape the barrel for an OC, because Stootsville and Godsey, whatever that combination was, one or both had to go. Clearly, they chose Stootsville over Godsey, so that would be out. You'd probably need another quarterback coach. You maybe need another wide receiver coach. So like you definitely needed a new O-line coach. So you see this change. I said that. You said all this. You see all this change. Does Tyreek Hill get on the phone and say, "This is the team I want to go to"? Does Teron Armstead in meetings? Does Teron Armstead say, "This is something I want to be a part of"? Does Raheem Mostert?
He wouldn't have allowed it.
So it's easy to say, like I said, man, my first thought was, well, like Flores didn't have all this, but I don't think all this happens without the excitement of the new staff, without the knowledge of this new staff and the way that McDaniel can sell the vision. I don't think all of this happens without that in place. So I think we can credit McDaniel for bringing in that kind of players. Like while Greer did the.
It's Greer that made the Tyreek move. He's the one that goes to McDaniel. Hey, Tyreek's available. What? So they've told the story many times. So it's not
but Mike Mike pitches him. Like Mike pitches Tyreek. Like you even saw, like they got on the phone. I think he got on the phone with Drew or Tyreek or whatever, saying like, "Oh, when you get here, we're going to do this, and I have this video to show you about how we're going to use you." And he's like, "Wait, coach,
my brother, it's the GM with the foresight that says Tyreek is available. My coach should want him. Let me go talk to him." So he tells him, and then obviously the coach wants him. So you're all on the same page. That happened before. Yes. Only problem is every time the GM would go over to the coach, the guy always had some smart ass remark and wanted something else instead done, because he always wanted shit his way, not their way. And it's like, yo, dude, we're the personnel people. And so that's the one thing that I give also. We can give Greer a shit ton of credit for all kinds of things. But what the thing I give him credit for most is that he learned his lesson with Tannenbaum and those guys when they screwed up and gave Gase too much power personnel. They did the same stupid shit with Flores. This time around, that wasn't going to happen. This time, it's going to be a collective where you can make suggestions, but the personnel decisions are going to be made by Chris Greer, Marvin Allen, and Reggie McKenzie. And that's how it's going to happen. That's why this team is where it's at now, because the personnel department is allowed to do what they do best. Period.
But what I'm saying there, though, is that the Chiefs accepted 2 trades. They accepted the Jets trade. They accepted the Dolphins trade.
Right.
It was up to Tyreek where he wanted to go.
Of course.
So if it was I'm saying part of the reason, like they get equal credit, but part of the reason why he's here is because of what McDaniel's system was going to do for him.
Oh, he also
sold on the system.
Wait a minute.
Miami and Texas and all that.
He also said I had to make a mature business decision. Okay. He was very open about the taxes. That's also what made the difference in the deal.
Yeah,
very open.
Sure. I'm sure, but I don't think we can definitively count that out. And the quarterback, but you got to understand too. Again, with all that turmoil, do you really want to do that? He has an easy life in Miami. You have a good quarterback, you have a good coach, a strong locker room. I don't know if one of the 3 does that for you. Nick Saleh is a good coach too. Zach Wilson is not a good quarterback, but it would basically be like, I think the decision at the very least would be a little harder. Like I can't definitively say that with Flores and whatever staff he would be able to put together, that Tyreek would be.
He wouldn't be here. He wouldn't be here.
Yeah, so
he wouldn't want to play for Flores. There's no way. There's a lot of guys.
I don't think Flores would even want Tyreek. Like what star players were brought in under Brian Flores. That's not the Patriot
Amen.
way, right?
Amen.
So,
Amen.
like, yeah,
Right.
we can say, oh, like Flo didn't have that. Flo didn't want that. I don't think Flo wanted that. As weird as
Best
that
move
sounds, that somebody doesn't want a Tyreek Hill.
Best move was not to bring that guy back. That was the greatest move that they made this entire offseason. And they made a lot of really good moves. But that one was the ultimate one that really opened the door for them to go out and do what they're going to do. All right, so we don't know anything about Armstead and Jackson. Anything else closing here from McDaniel that caught your eye? Any other important comments?
From McDaniel, no, not off the top of my head there. I do say, because I told him I would shout him out here. Shout out to my man Chris, who's on the field during game days. And he said, with the camera, he said basically what I've been saying about Tua. Like, you can see it in his eyes. You can see the control in his eyes that he has this year. You can see the way he is scanning the field, the way that, he's dictating the flow, that he's dictating the aggression. It's simply a different and confident quarterback here, to the point where, like, I don't even recognize the guy that was playing the previous 2 years here. That I think, closing arguments here. Looking forward to the next month or so. Going to be a long few weeks. We'll be out of town from, the 2nd to the 12th. Then again, whenever they announce when the Buffalo game dates, then again on New Year's, like, they're going to earn it, man. If they win their first division title since 2008, they're going to earn that shit, because this is not a cakewalk to end the season.
Oh, no, there's no doubt, dude. Trust me, I've watched a lot of mediocre football for 20 years. This is not mediocre football. This is actually, pretty special. The worst part about this season has been that they've had no luck whatsoever. None whatsoever. And they keep getting hit by injury after injury after injury. And somehow or another, they have to overcome it, which is just, a crazy, crazy thought. And it's pretty amazing that they're 8-3 with all the injuries that they've had on this team. And a first-year coach. My God, if you want to see a first-year coach go through hell in his first year, Mike McDaniel has faced all kinds of adversity, and kudos to him that in his rookie year as a coach, my Lord, he's been tested in every way possible. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, if you want to look at the other end of the spectrum, go look at Denver. That's a first-year coach situation that's not working out. But I don't know. I'm not that surprised that they're 8-3. My bold prediction is that they would start the season 8-2. I said, if this clicks early, then the sky is the limit, and it clicked early. So shout out to Mike for his ability to command a locker room and foster a culture. And yeah, man, it's been a fun season to cover. Looking forward to this this final stretch.
It's a beautiful thing. Follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ, and you can catch him on planes with Odell Beckham all the time.
I always miss drama at Miami Airport, man. Like, I just flew in yesterday. If I had flown in this morning instead, I might have been in it. I might have been able to see all that.
No,
I
missed.
It
was in LA.
No, it was here.
Well, it
They were
says the
going
flight
to
was
LA.
the flight was heading for LA. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, I swear, like, if you want drama at MIA, if you want to catch drama at MIA, find out when I land or take off, and then go hang out the day after. Like, I think Black China was caught yelling and screaming at somebody, and a day later, like the day after, I took off for somewhere. I don't know. I got to look up the specifics, but it's pattern behavior.
Yeah. But hey, your Bills are going to sign him soon. So, what are you going to do?
He's going to the Cowboys. I'm happy for my girl.
You think so? You think he's going to end up in the Cowboys? Yeah, you know what? They're a mess.
The Bills just signed John Brown to their practice squad.
God, that young man has fought so much. People don't realize he's had that illness too. And just to keep his career alive, I have a lot of admiration for John Brown, man. That young man has fought a lot just to be a football player, man. And it's a blessing every day for a lot of guys, and for John Brown, it's one hell of a hill he has to climb just to be a football player, dude. It's
He was
crazy stuff.
legit, man. He was legit back in 2019. I think I wrote all about it, that he was miscast as a deep threat, and he was a guy who can run the full route tree. Yeah, he
Yeah.
can do whatever he's needed to do. He might not be a number one, but I
Right.
mean, shoot, the Bills made the playoffs with him as their number one a few years back.
I wish he had a healthy career, and I think you would have seen a different John Brown. I really do. It's a shame, man. And he's had some injuries too, I think, early in his career also that kind of set him back a little bit too. So it's tough stuff. Marcel, as always, we'll catch up during the week, my friend. I appreciate you immensely.
Yes, sir.
Got it. There you go. You now have the edge, baby, with Marcel Louis-Jacques.
You now have the edge on the Miami Dolphins with the Edge Energy Drink Miami Dolphins Report featuring ESPN's Marcel Louis-Jacques. Get the energy drink that's delicious and smooth with zero aftertaste. You can only order Edge Energy Drink at myedgedrink.com. That's myedgedrink.com.
Later at 6:40, reports that Odell Beckham was kicked off a plane in Miami. The flight was headed for LA. Beckham was allegedly in and out of consciousness and wouldn't put his seatbelt on. Beckham allegedly refused to leave the plane. His refusal forced the plane to be emptied and the flight to be delayed. Earlier today, Beckham tweeted, "Never in my life have I experienced what just happened to me. I've seen it all." He later tweeted, "I could never make this up." Somebody tell him that, like, Odell, my brother, you're a freaking punk. You're a piece of shit that has no credibility, my man. You just have a boatload of talent. But outside of that, when it comes to being a human being, you're a schmuck. You're an idiot. You're an imbecile. Okay? So nobody's going to believe anything you ever say because you have zero credibility, you clown. That's it. But the worst part is that this league has no scruples. And they give scumbags and dirtbags and criminals and losers like Odell Beckham, who breaks like fragile glass, as always, and they keep giving him break after break. And that's why you allow these losers to be who they are, because they get away with it and you let them get away with it. That's all. But Odell Beckham is nothing but a punk. Always has been. That's it, dude. You know what Odell Beckham needs is a beatdown is what he needs. That's what he needs. And not by a kicking net, by another bigger football player or maybe somebody his size that would just teach him a lesson. So maybe he can stop being a punk. And I hope it happens one day where he's at a club somewhere and some guy knocks out like they did Suge Knight, another piece of shit. Okay? You run your mouth, Suge Knight. You thought you were Mr. Tough Guy. You can beat everybody, and a barber took your ass out. That's all. That's what needs to happen to these punks. That's it. They need to learn their lessons the hard way. Suge gets knocked out. Now he ends up in jail. Hopefully he'll rot there for hell and forever. And that's it. And Odell Beckham is another punk that you just keep giving chances to. You want to keep giving Zach Martin chances over there, or what is it, Zach Wilson over there in New York? You want to keep giving him chances? He'll keep acting like a punk. Johnny Manziel, you want to keep? Go ahead. That's how these punks are. Just because they have some talent, you keep giving them opportunities. But you never hold them to a higher standard to act like a decent human being. And Odell Beckham doesn't know how to act like that because he's a punk. That's it. Now, those kind of people, why would you want them ever representing your organization, corporation, whatever? Why? Because he can catch a football? Please. My God. Odell Beckham, all these other guys, man. Get rid of these clowns. They don't even appreciate the talent that the Lord gave them so they can actually go out there and use it the right way and help other people and make things. No, dude, they just make things worse. Those people all on the plane ended up going through hell because of that loser. Don't forget, folks, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. Jose says, I'm worried about the O-line going forward. Jose, thank you for the super chat, and you should be worried. Let's hope Teron Armstead is not serious. Let's not freak out yet. Let's wait till we hear what happens with Teron Armstead before we start freaking out. When we hear about Teron Armstead, if it's bad, then we can all start freaking out. Chris Draves says, Big O, Waddle needs to stop dropping balls. 1 week, it's going to bite us in the butt. Well, he drops one every once in a while. And that one was perfect by Tua. He got it over those guys. Oh, my God, he should have caught that one. That one was tough. The other one was too hard by Tua, by the way. Believe it or not, that short slant that he threw, I thought he threw it way too hard, and that's why it was a little hard. It was a little uncatchable, even though he got his hands on it. But that one was tough. But the deep one, yeah, I blame Waddle for that one. I'm with you there. P. Hillis, thank you for the love on the super chat, my friend. Appreciate you. Devin Jordan, you're a stud. Big O, NGL. But that last Tua sack when his legs got bent backwards had me nervous for a second. Well, all of us, dude. All of us, my brother. Very nervous. Thank God he was all right. P. Hillis, he says, Big O, what about Armstead? We don't know yet, my man. We don't know yet. We're not going to find out. I know all of you want to find out. I've got like 20 texts in my phone. Hey, what's up with Armstead? I just looked at him, and I haven't answered anybody yet because it's like, I don't know anything, man. What do you want me to do? I'll try to make some calls, but they're not going to tell me anything with injuries. They don't want to screw around with the HIPAA stuff, dude. Malkawick. Big O, I think Brian Flores has serious antisocial personality issues. He's got some issues. I'm with you there, dude. Big time. Big time. Cash App or Venmo, Cash Big O Show on Cash App or Venmo. That's Cash Big O Show. Emilio Narvez, thank you on Venmo. He says, donation, best Dolphins coverage. I tune in every week. You should tune in during the week too, man. Every day at 10 a.m., podcasted everywhere. Big O radio show. You can catch it on your way home when you're in your car. What are you going to do? Listen to radio and 30 minutes of commercials and updates that you don't need and all that kind of stuff? That's not the kind of stuff you want to do. By the way, the great people at EJD Construction do a phenomenal job as the title sponsors of our show. And folks, 305-433-4843, Dade and Broward counties. And listen, right now, there's a lot of us going through this. If your home is older than 20 years, which a lot of people live in homes that are older than 20 years, your roof may not be up to date anymore to get your new hurricane policy, to renew your policy. And a lot of companies are requiring that you upgrade your roof. Well, guess what? EJD Construction can do that for you and fix that and get your roof upgraded. That way you can get the insurance policy you need for the next hurricane season. Now is the time. We're out of the rainy season. We're in the winter time. There's the perfect time to get that roof fixed. So if you're in Dade or Broward County and you're having issues, 305-433-4843. Because of some of the economic issues going on in our world, there are people that are consolidating and they're moving in and the families are getting bigger. Well, you may need to enlarge your home. You may need to add a room. You want to add a second floor, whatever it is. EJD Construction can do that. You want to modernize that kitchen. EJD Construction can do that. You want to redo that backyard. You want to put out a tent that has a kitchen and a barbecue, and people are putting together also all kinds of creative stuff, walls for like a screen on the outside and all kinds of stuff. I've seen that. You guys have gotten really creative. He sends me the pictures. Call the great people at EJD Construction. I'm giving you Eric's cell phone number, the owner's cell phone number, 305-433-4843, and fully insured liability and workers' comp. So if anybody gets injured on the job in your home or your business, they cannot sue you because they're fully insured. Please do not ever hire anybody that is not fully insured to work in your home. That is very dangerous because if they get injured, they can sue you. Yeah. And put it this way, I don't put anybody on this platform that is not fully insured. I've already been approached and I asked them, hey, are you fully insured? No, sorry, can't do it, man. I need the proof. I need to see that you're fully insured. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell people. Plus, I know personally these people, and I've seen their work. so I know. But I know they're also fully insured because I would never want to put you guys at risk out there. I tell you all the time. I try to look out for you guys all the time. So I told you to get your money out of Voyager before it went down. And I told you to get your money out of FTX before it went down. Oh, Lordy. Joseph Bell says Tua was taken out because he took 4 sacks and wasn't producing anything in the second half. If he was taken out because of the score, he would never have entered in the third quarter. He was taken out because he was taking too many hits. It has nothing to do with anything else at that point. And you're up by 30. There's no reason to play him at this point. I thought they waited too long to take him out. Okay? To me, it wasn't like they were ever going to catch up anyway. I know they got some points in the end, but I know how these guys work. They bend a little bit, but they don't break. I wasn't ever worried about, any of that. 855-912-1056. If you want to get in on the Welt and Rayom text line, that's 855-912-1056 on the Welt and Rayom text line. I haven't even mentioned the text line here for a while, actually, on the postgame show. Ernesto Ulavarro, thank you, my brother. All right, he sent in some Bitcoin, baby, on Cash App. I love it. Yeah. Thank you, Ernesto. That's very nice of you, my brother. You know that's my favorite right there. A little Bitcoin action, man. Thank you. That is absolutely fantastic. Let's see. I told you the Welton Rayom text line, 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. And Ernest says, wind is my only concern for the next 2 games. I'm not worried about that, dude. I'm not worried about any of the elements that people talk about. Not worried at all. The Dolphins will be fine. Tua's going to be just fine. They don't need to throw 70 yards downfield in blustery wind. Inside that 35-yard box, he's going to be just fine. I'm not worried at all about Tua. I'm more worried about Teron Armstead. They need Teron Armstead in order to be the team that they, must be. And let me tell you something. This also puts, I think you got to try to get yourself a young left tackle as soon as possible in the draft this coming year. That's what I would do. Because I know you got Armstead signed for a couple of years, but I don't know if he's going to hold up. I'd like to get another tackle in there that I'm grooming, playing him at right or whatever. And then when Armstead's out at any time, boom, I put him in there, and I'm not missing nearly as much. I would like to do something like that. I think that would be the right thing to do. Let's see. Somebody send me on the Welton Rayom text line. It says, Kitty, answer me or I'll smash your mom. Okay. There we go. I sent him Kitty. I don't know if he was texting the right person or not. What's up, Big O? Great win watching you in Pattaya, Thailand. Almost 4:30 a.m. Wow. That's impressive, man. Thank you. Thank you very much, man, out there in Thailand watching us. That's the beauty of all of this, is that, everybody can tune in all over the world. And we have fans in England and Portugal and Malaysia, Canada, Mexico, New Zealand. I mean, we get fans everywhere watching this program daily or watching the Dolphins, all that stuff, man. Okay, I don't know. Somebody's asking me about somebody else doing an opinion. It's funny. The announcers are carefully praising Mike McDaniel while avoiding saying how much of a disaster Brian Flores was. Yeah, they're on national television. They got to pussyfoot around. I don't pussyfoot around. I don't worry about that stuff. That's why I love what I'm doing, because we're not tied to any corporation or anything. I'm my own person. I don't need to answer to anybody. And I've always been like that anyways. No matter what entity I've worked for, I'm going to speak my mind. You don't like it, too bad. Big O, oh, well, that's it. It's too late. He asked me, who should I start, Tannehill, Mostert, or Foreman? Oh, I hope that you ended up starting Foreman, I guess, because Tannehill, I don't think he even threw a touchdown in that game. I don't know. I'm not sure. But it wasn't good, that's for sure. Should the Dolphins go out and sign someone or ride with Little at left tackle? Sorry, but he looked worse than Jesse Davis. Don't you think that they would have somebody better than Greg Little if there was somebody out there? Of course, man. It's hard. The fact that they even found Brandon Shell to help him out at right tackle was a miracle of God. This was one of those where Melvin Bratton was his agent, and Melvin was looking for a place for his guy, and his guy was out of shape, so he was able to get him a tryout with the Dolphins, and they liked what they saw, but they knew he was out of shape, so they gave him a couple weeks to get in shape and all that, and it was, by luck, it just kind of worked out for them. You know what I mean? But it's crazy stuff, dude. To find somebody, it is an absolute mission. Absolute mission to find somebody. What else do we have here? EJD Construction is clearly controlling your opinions. LOL. Yes, they are. They're controlling all of my opinions. Should the Dolphins go? What is it? You just run down to Walmart and pick up some milk and a tackle. It's that easy. That's it. Take a little milk, a tackle. You got a spare running back. Let's go. I hear you got fans in Antarctica doing the penguin. Yes, we do. Yes. You saw that, huh? You saw one of our loyal family members out in Antarctica doing the waddle. Yeah, we had a listener that tweeted out to me from Antarctica doing the waddle. That is awesome. I'm telling you, man, we got Dolphin love all over the world. I look forward to the day that I'm broadcasting at some Dolphin bars outside of this country. Mexico, Canada, London, wherever there are Dolphin bars, I want to go to. Okay? That is the quest. Not just the Dolphin bars in the United States. Of course, we want to do those. But I cannot wait to go hang out with Dolphin fans in Mexico, Dolphin fans in London, that kind of stuff. We got to do that. That's bucket list stuff for our show. Okay? Steven says, you got me from Plains, Pennsylvania. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan and have been since I was 10 years old. 1985, great times. Now is better. And in 2022, go Phinz. I'm with you. Christopher Henry's in Virginia. See what I mean? What a beautiful state Virginia is. God, I love driving through that state. Gorgeous place. You got to go to Thailand, Big O, says Woo back. Let's go. Let's get a sponsor to fly us out, and we'll do something in Thailand. I love that. Why not? I think Sean Stanley would like. Sean, wait a minute. You were in the military. Were you in Thailand in the military? Because you guys travel all over the world. What countries did you go to when you were in the military?
I was stationed in Okinawa. I went to Guam, and we did the South America. So we did the Panama Canal, Rio de Janeiro, Bogota, Colombia, and Cape Town, South Africa.
And Rio? Wow.
Yeah, Cape Town, South Africa as well. It was good.
And you survived. Damn. Woo. Young guy in the military, Rio, Colombia. Whew. Damn. Sean was tearing it up, bro. Having some fun. Let's see. Big O just got home from the Dolphins game. Next 3 games, tough going, but going to be exciting. Yes, sir. It is. I'm in Missoula, Montana now, born and raised in South Florida for 30 years. Wow, Anthony. Thank you. Appreciate it. Dolphins 5413 says they're in Charlotte. They meet every week. See, that's I got to go to that Charlotte bar. So that's the kind of stuff I got to do right there. Hilarious listening USA fans chanting, it's called soccer. Herbert fourth quarter pick would be glorious. Really? Did he what is happening in that game? Is Herbert and company leaning? What's going on in
Kyler Murray just scored with about 11 minutes to go, 24-17 Cardinals.
Wow. Okay. Here we go. I just pulled it up. 27-27 Raiders and Seahawks. Okay. Niners beating the Saints 13-0. The Chefs ahead of the Rams 20-3. Herbert's played well. He's 25 of 33, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns. But now, will his BBs drop? That's the question now. Now's when they need you, kid. Can you drive? Can you lead them to a victory in key moments? That's what I want to see. Big O, Liam Eichenberg isn't out for the year. He can come back and play. No, I know. I think he's done for the year, bro. No, he's done for the year. He's on IR. He's done. And I got to tell you something. I don't want Liam Eichenberg playing anything right now. Okay? I think he needs an off season to kind of check himself because he's been wrecking everybody else. Virginia here too, Big O. Originally born in Sunny Isles, though. Nice. I love it, man. It is fantastic how we've got people all over the place. Now, Josh says hello from Miami. Okay. Oh, man. Big O, I'm old like you, buddy. An old fan since 78. I got to say, watching this offense click like it did in the first half totally reminded me of when Marino was flinging in 84, 85. Yeah, it does. And that's what I've talked about. I've told the younger fans that you want to know what it felt like watching Marino. This is what it felt like watching Marino at times. That was perfect. Listening in Topsham, Maine. Wow. Toby's in Newark, New Jersey. William is in Kentucky. Ryan is in Brick, New Jersey. There you go. And make sure you have Sloman's Home Shield. Want to warm your house up a little bit, get some of that gas, get some of that heating oil. Yeah, baby. Sloman's Home Shield for our friends in the Northeast. Make sure you tell them that Big O sent you, please. Oh, Carlos Alberto is in Rio, Brazil. I got to go to Rock in Rio one day. That is on a bucket list there. I got to go to Rock in Rio. I got to do that one day, man. I cannot wait. I got to go rock out with all the metalheads. I got to go to a couple of those South American heavy metal concerts. Okay? Because a South American heavy metal concert is like going to a football match. Okay? That you go to Colombia and Argentina and Brazil and England and Germany and you see the fanatical approach that they take to it. They bring that to heavy metal. Like heavy metal is big here in the United States and you can go to lots of festivals. But my man, they don't move and groove like they do in Central and South America. Those folks there, they rock hard. When you go to a Iron Maiden or a Scorpions or a Metallica concert and you go to Central and South America, man, the vibe is awesome. So when I see Rio in Brazil, I always think of Rock in Rio. I got to go to that because that looks like such a great event. Mike is in Toronto, Canada. YO is in New Haven, Connecticut. Richard is in Boston Lake, New York. Let's see. Willie, you're in Colombia. I know that because you're always going back and forth with me on the gram. Let's see. William says, yeah, go to Rio and don't bring a camera. You don't need evidence of the good time you had. LOL. 74 of the Sea of Hands game. Oh yeah, that was tough. Bo Brown says, big on 55-year-old Dolphin fan from Nashville. You're always bringing the truth. Thank you, sir. Can't wait to go to Nashville too. I have yet to go to Nashville. That's one place I'm dying to go hang out and go to the bars and check out the music. God, Nashville looks like so much fun. George is in North Arlington, New Jersey. One of the greatest concerts I've ever seen was AC/DC in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The crowd was amazing. It always is. Always is. An AC/DC concert down in Central and South America. Oh, my God. That's fun. Mark is in Chicago, Illinois. John, by the way, SoCal here, but listening to you all the way in the Philippines on vacay. Man, you guys are awesome. Still here in Rochester, says the Ragin, as always. Big O, have you been to I've been all over the Caribbean, everywhere. Bahamas, St. Croix, the Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, all that's all up and down, all there. St. Martin, right? Whatever. Yeah, I've been to a whole. I love the Caribbean. It is absolutely fantastic. Puerto Rico too. Used to go to Puerto Rico all the time for the I hate to say it, back in the day, for the rooster fights. It's a Latin thing. What up, Nashville? Not that I would ever do it now, but when I was young, you do stupid things when you're young. Newfoundland, Canada is in. Let's see where else. Damn, you guys are all over the place. George says here in North Arlington, New Jersey, home of Pizza Land from The Sopranos. We got to try it, right? We got to try it one day. Justin Herbert just threw an interception you guessed it. No, you're lying. Roderick, you're just trying to make my day. Herbert intercept. No. So it is true. You guys are all saying it. Hey, just don't tell Joe Rose that he threw an interception again in the fourth quarter. I love Joe, but he couldn't have gotten things more wrong with Tua, Chris Greer, and Justin Herbert. And he's dying on that vine of Justin Herbert still. He's like, oh, no, he's better than Tua. No, he's not. Stop already with that. He's more talented physically than Tua. He's not a better quarterback. I know, but that's all right. It's like, you got to learn. When you got the L, take the L. That's it. You got the L. Take the L, dude. We all going to take L's. Gallup, New Mexico for Don Horsley. Thank you, Don. Appreciate you, my brother. That is so funny. Oh, it might be reversed. Was just overturned. Okay. Malkowick is in Mexico City. Okay. Herbert will never let you down with interceptions in the fourth quarter. The refs just reversed it. Okay. All right. Was it a good call to reverse? I mean, he shouldn't get the interception if he doesn't deserve it, man. You know what I mean? That's move Robert Hunt and Greg Little to tackles. I don't know if I want to do a lot of moving around. And let me explain something to you about that. I'm glad you brought that up, because some people may bring up because Robert Hunt has played tackle and all of that. Okay. When Tua can step into the pocket, he can step into the pocket because Connor and because Hunt and Robert Jones are doing their jobs. And so when you do get a pass rush, you can kind of step in from it as long as the tackles don't get beat inside. They've got to try to push everything to the outside. If they get something inside, then obviously you're hoping a back can pick it up or something like that. But then that's what causes problems for any quarterback, not just Tua. And one of the things I've talked about, remember we had this, I explained a lot of things with the Saints and how with Drew Brees, they were always solid at center and the guards because they need that pocket to be there for a shorter quarterback. So he can have the passing lanes and he can do his job. Whether you're Greasy, whether you're Brees or Montana or now Tua, you need to have the middle of the pocket incredibly solid. So moving Hunt out of place may put you in a detriment. And so now, at least with the tackles, you can still play with that in a sense of you can have a fullback to pick up an extra blocker. You can move a tight end to one of the weaker sides with Greg Little. Okay, like Smythe, you put him right next to Greg Little and make life harder on Boza. And I know McDaniel may not want to do a lot of, max protect, but you have two superior receivers that are impossible to cover, Waddle and Hill. So Tua will be able to find those guys one way or another. And then you're still going to be able to use a back out of the backfield or something like that in order to help you out. So I'm just saying that you don't want to mess too much with what's working to fix what's not working, because then you create another problem at right guard if you move Hunt. And the pocket is the most important thing for Tua right now. The edges, you might be able to get away with it sometimes. Okay, you're going to have to shorten up your passing game. You're going to have to stay under 2.5 seconds, closer to 2 seconds. You're going to have to adjust some things. And that's probably what they could not do with, halftime and then injuries. And then all of a sudden you're in the middle of it and you can't really change everything. Now you'll have a week of preparation. You'll have a better feel for what you're going to do so you can adjust to it. But I don't think moving Robert Hunt to tackle is a smart thing. I think the smart thing is to maintain the pocket with those 3 guys there, and then you try to work the edges. But you need your tackles to make sure to not get beaten inside. They've got to be able to push everything to the outside. Guide them all the way out of the pocket if they can. But at least if they do get around you, Tua can see that and can step in to release the ball. But what you cannot have is that pocket crumble. I hope we understand the explanation. Eric Storm says, I give Miami no chance on the road versus the 49ers without their Pro Bowl left tackle. Hope I'm wrong, but I'm thinking I'm going to put a lot of money on the 49ers if Armstead is out. So you're going to put a lot of money, so then you're in a position to root against what I think is your favorite team. Just saying. I don't know, bro. I mean, I like gambling as much as anybody, but I can't just sit there in a season where they can be a playoff team and all that. And okay, so Armstead's out, so I'm going to put a bunch of money. So then I'm forced now to root against the Dolphins to lose. Eric, you and I are cut from 2 completely different cloths, bro. 2 completely different cloths. There is no freaking way I'm doing that. I would never do that. So I can sit. Look, I get it yesterday. The Canes. It's a useless season. It's over. Whatever. Nothing matters. But this Dolphins season matters, and I'm going to sit there rooting against the Dolphins because I wanted to put my money on it. Yeah, no, dude. I don't, thank the Lord. I don't want to make my money that way. That's not. We're cut from different cloths on that one, Eric. You and I are going to disagree on that one, my man. Eric Echevarria, thank you, sir. Do you think Houston gave San Francisco the blueprint on Miami? No, the problem with Miami was that they got their tackles injured, my friend. That's all. It's not a blueprint. They lost games with bad lines last year and the year before. So this is nothing new, my friend. And anybody knows that you can attack them now the way they are. Okay, we are out of here. Please smash the hell out of the like button, man. Get us over 1,000 because not a lot of people have smashed it. We've got over 800 people watching, and there's 379. You guys, if you all smash now, you can get us over 1,000. Okay? Come on, man. Smash it. Do us the favor. We thank Lee Sterling, Alan Poupart, Marcel Louis-Jacques, and Joe Schad, all of our insiders, and obviously Lee doing great work as always with the picks. Of course, I got to thank Sean Stanley, the man that masters his entire platform. He is amazing. We thank all of you for tuning in and keeping us locked here and supporting the hell out of this program and this platform. We will be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And let's hope we get some good news on Teron Armstead as the week goes on, as the Dolphins get ready to take on the San Francisco 49ers. Stay strong. Stay positive. Don't bet against your team. Don't do that. Okay. Let's hope for the best, and let's see if they can get it done, because nothing will be more satisfying than overcoming even more adversity and winning in San Francisco. That, my friends, would be about as satisfying as it gets. So we will see you all tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. On behalf of Sean Stanley, Chad Shobe, I'm Orlando Alzugaray. Thank you for listening right here to the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins postgame show right here on the Sports Talk 305 network.
This has been the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins postgame show on the Sports Talk 305 network. The show is mastered by Sean Stanley and Chad Shobe. From home to kitchen to bathroom additions and remodelings. Get in contact with one of the best contractors in the business. Call Eric at ejdconstruction.com. 305-433-4843. Please subscribe to our platform by searching Big O Radio Show on all digital avenues. On behalf of all our staff, we thank you for supporting us. Have a fantastic week.